But so the Super Frank tank, Aerith must die.
Aerith must die. That's
Aerith must die to be Super Frank. It has to happen.
Sorry, Aerith. R.I.P.
I'm sorry, Zach.
Yeah.
But she must die. How fucked up would it be if Cloud is the one who actually
make it happen?
And then Cloud actually comes down and kills her instead of Sephiroth.
Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
I know. This is a one-time gig.
Hello, welcome again to Super Frank, a Super Frank podcast. Today we have a reunion to recap Remake before Rebirth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Mouthful. But we're doing a special episode. I know we've been doing 16, but we are going to jump in, take a little break from that, and we are way too excited for Rebirth to come out.
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I should be a little more specific. Watching this, you probably know exactly what we're talking about. So we're just going to do a little mini recap of what's happened in Remake in case you haven't played it again or didn't even play it, maybe. This will give you just a kind of real quick review, but we're going to try and go more in depth of breaking down what differences there are or what things we think are going to happen in the next one.
Yes.
What we hope to happen in the next one.
Looking forward to.
Yeah.
Our things to look forward to in Rebirth, or maybe a little what's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are they changing? Are they changing things? Because we know from Remake that things from the original game are already changed. So how far are we taking this?
Yes.
That's kind of what we're going to get into.
Right.
So,
little hype up video, though, before Rebirth drops, you know, February 29th. So,
yeah, and we're, as of recording this, we're, 3 weeks out?
Yep, just about. So, yeah.
Out. So, hopefully this one...
Hopefully everybody's excited as we are.
Yeah. So, that being said as well, we didn't watch the State of Play that had come out earlier this week.
This week, yes.
As of recording. We didn't watch that. We've kind of tried to been staying away from a lot of what they've been showing. I've seen one or two trailers, but I didn't try to analyze them too much.
I haven't seen yet the last trailer, State of Play, and we have not played the demo.
Yes.
So there might be a couple of things that have been answered that we're kind of asking about, but I don't know, I think we both agree that it's just sometimes there's too much that's given away beforehand that...
I want the full experience on that day and be able to just... keep going.
Yes.
I don't want this little demo, and then now I got to wait 3 more weeks again for it. It's going to kill me.
Exactly.
Waiting the week when I did that with 16 was like, oh god, I want to keep playing the next day. So,
but I don't know. Feel free to leave a comment if you know some answers to our questions. You know, we still always love to hear from everybody.
Yeah, or your opinion on if we say something here and you think we're wrong and it might go a different direction or something. Yeah, let us know what you think afterwards. So. All right, that being said...
Kick off the recap of Remake for Rebirth.
Yeah. Let's start at the beginning. The very beginning here. I think we can cut out... Basically, most people are going to know the whole beginning. We're not going to go into too detail. But basically...
Quick recap.
The main character is Cloud. Everybody knows Cloud.
Yep.
And he's a mercenary at this point who is being hired by a group called Avalanche, who are a terrorist, I guess. There's really no other, I was going to say, sort of terrorist. No, they're terrorists.
They really are, right?
Yeah. And they are going to blow up a reactor, they call it, which is basically just like a giant power plant.
Yeah.
For a portion of this giant city, which is going to be like a whole... district, I guess you could put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're quickly introduced to Barrett, who seems to kind of be leader in charge of this Avalanche group, and a couple other people. You see Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse as you make your way to this reactor. And again, your first thoughts might kind of be like, wait, what? Like, we're going to blow something up in a city where the terrorists... Are we the good guys right now?
Yeah. What is happening? Because this is all, like, immediately in the game. You know,
this is great how it starts,
There's no, I'm fighting rats. It's not, go beat up a few rats for...
Find my cat or something.
Find my cat stuff. This is like, no, they all know how to... Or
you hop
not
off
all
that
of them,
train.
actually. You realize Cloud knows how to fight right away.
Which is why he's hired.
Yes.
Hired.
Kicking butt. And
sword.
And we learn that he's an ex-soldier, they call him. So he was with this company, Shinra, that we learn very quickly.
Who are the bad guys.
Corporation, they're the We Energies. Except for very evil. They're also kind of the government of this world. And so, he was part of them, no longer part of them, hates them, also agreeing that he's going to go destroy this power plant, which very shortly Barrett gives us the rundown of why they're doing it.
Yes, yeah. So you learn, like, the planet has the life stream, you know, right? And what they're doing is sucking up that life stream, turning it into Mako energy, which is just like electricity, basically.
Right. You're basically your fossil fuels and your electricity and everything. Yeah.
You quickly get the metaphor, right, if you will, of the real life, like, fossil fuels, we're killing the planet. The symbolism of, you know, hey, we're killing the planet, fossil fuels, global warming. It's like, that's what Shinra is doing. So you're trying to stop that, save the planet, by blowing up a reactor that is draining the planet, like the life of the planet, basically.
Yeah.
Cloud is also very indifferent.
Yes.
In a-hole?
At the beginning, he's very not interested.
Yeah, right? Yes, he's very... he even straight up tells them, they're all like, hey, dude, like, thanks for joining us and, like, helping us save the planet. And he's like, oh, no. I'm not with you guys.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
always
just here for my money.
He's quick to remind him, yes. He's like, this is a one-time gig.
As you've heard the line, if you have been watching our podcast, or at the beginning of this, actually, I would have the intro to it.
Yeah, right.
You will hear the line, this is a one-time gig. And so that is exactly how Cloud is at the very beginning here. So very quickly, I think then we'll jump kind of ahead here that obviously you blow up this reactor.
Yep.
It does a ton of damage to the city.
And this was kind of nice to see the difference from, like, original to this one. Is like, you know, when you get the little characters and blow up a reactor, you're like, okay, yeah, cool, we did that. But this was like,
we did damage.
Oh, now you really get the scale of, like, how much destruction. You probably killed a few innocent people.
Yeah, like, they make it sound like a few hundred, if not a few thousands of people died from this reactor being blown up, and thousands more are without power now.
And they do even, so it does say real quick, Jessie is the one who makes the bomb, and she's even like, that was bigger than I thought. Yeah. So they kind of, there's a couple things that tie into that.
Which, again, going, in the original, it didn't really elaborate on those. And this is where now a remake started elaborating on the story a lot more and going more in depth and giving us more of the story.
Shinra being more behind that. Yeah. The war with, like, Wu-Tai, them being involved.
Yeah, because quickly you learn that Shinra starts blaming Wu-Tai as well, or a lot of people are blaming Wu-Tai for this happening, which was a war that previously, it's another country, I guess, and there was a war between Shinra and Wu-Tai over a reactor. Shinra wanted to put a reactor in Wu-Tai. Wu-Tai said no. They fought over it. Wu-Tai ended up losing, but I don't think actually they ever...
It's one of those, yeah.
They don't really talk too much about it. A little bit more now in Remake. They've given us a little bit more background on it. That actually wasn't brought up in the original, though, until way later in the story.
Correct, right? Yeah.
So
they fleshed that out a little bit more.
Yeah. So after this reactor, we then, I think, jump to meet the next character.
Yep. Aerith.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Aerith.
Originally, Aerith, I think most people by this point know the story. The original translation was Aerith.
Yep.
The reasoning being, and I've heard multiple different versions of it, the most recent one that I heard, and I think is the most logical, that the katakana, which is the Japanese language, the literature, I believe, the characters, there is no TH in Japanese. And there is no way to write a TH in Japanese.
Interesting.
So S is the closest that they get. So if there's something that's an S and a TH, they would be kind of the same thing, and it's hard to tell the difference of. So that's where the mistranslation would have come. Either way, they probably pronounce it Aerith. And, not much of a TH, more of an Aerith anyways. But for us, it was more Aerith. And going more in depth than that, and I read this in one of my books, I believe.
Oh, Ultimania or something?
Yeah, I think one of those, that they wanted her name to closely resemble Earth.
Oh.
And it makes sense once you learn her character. That she is a Cetra, which is an ancient people, about 1,000 years old, we learn later on.
Yes.
And that are basically extinct, but they were very in tune with the planet. They could hear, almost talk with the planet. Yeah,
again, kind of like the life stream of the planet. Like, they kind of could talk, communicate with it a little bit. What I always forget, though, and I find interesting, is she's actually half.
Yes.
She's technically a half-breed.
Do we learn that in this? Or is that in the original only? Because I think
like, it's kind of like
way later.
They mention it and they kind of hint at it, but I don't know if it really clicks
until way later.
So there's a kind of couple of things where it's that might be why it's a little bit more it's not as easy for her to talk to the planet and stuff like that.
She's not just straight up doing it all the time. She kind of hints at things right away. But going forward, you learn a lot more about the ancients, the Cetra, what Aerith is, and all of that. That does get explained, and she has her weird moments, where you're kind of like, it just seems like she knows what's going to happen, especially in this one compared to the original. Yes. And I feel like that is just part of being the ancient, the Cetra, talking with the planet a little bit. Yeah. It just has an idea or a feeling of stuff that might happen. So if we want to jump into this now right away, and get more into depth of Aerith's character, I guess we could do that right now. Yeah. Before we recap it. And a lot of this is you learn this throughout the remake here. But I believe the very opening scene, we were originally led to believe that you were looking up at stars. Right. The black sky with the dots, whatever, also in the intro. Intro to this game, and then it pans down and you see Aerith's face, and she looks like she's looking down into something. Hearing other podcasts talking about it, and I believe also that she was actually peering into the live stream. Right. And now I have a theory that this is our second playthrough of the game. Right? You as the player have played through this game most likely the second time, and they're remaking it. This is
we've all played the original.
And playing on what the next one's called, Rebirth, this is playing on Aerith's second opportunity through this game. Right. So when she's peering into the live stream, and again, these are obviously spoilers, in the original, she dies. And she goes to the live stream, becomes one with the live stream, and is able to influence things still while being in that, which... the lifeblood of the planet, she becomes one with the planet. I believe when she dies, that almost time is there is no time. She can kind of shift between it because she talks to, in the Temple of Ancients, she talks to her ancestors in the live stream. Oh, okay. So I'm wondering if there's something to do with time doesn't really matter, and she's able to talk to herself through the live stream in that moment. Yeah. And now in Remake, it's her warning her. Yeah. Hey, this is what happens. Hey, well, do it. We failed to do something differently. Yeah. Because immediately then when we meet her, and as Cloud in the remake, she does stuff differently than the original, and then immediately these things come flying around her. Yes. Which we later learned are called whispers.
Ghost-like things. Yes. Spectre-looking things. Yeah, that they call whispers. Yes, so they interact with Aerith and Cloud. And so to kind of tie into your whole how the live stream time, all that kind of works, it's you learning what we know about the live stream through the original game. Right. everything returns to the planet. And so, so it's kind of like, that could kind of be like, she returned to the planet.
I think this was the beginning.
And, time, kind of how that all works, whatever. But these whispers, you kind of notice that things start to happen a little differently than the original in Remake. And these whispers almost seem to be pushing it to the original. Like, making sure Cloud and Aerith meet. Later going on, making sure Cloud goes on the mission. They seem like they're getting in the way, like harming you a little bit. Like, not like harming, but like just pushing you back. They seem a nuisance, but they're keeping it to the original timeline.
Yes.
So again, that's like what you're getting at is like something has happened, and this is like a second chance at everything. But what we learn, like what the whispers are, they describe them as arbiters of fate.
Yes, that's the word I was trying to think.
They're there to keep destiny on track.
Yes.
It's like what we've kind of been told. So I'm like, is that like the planet's will, which is like the life stream?
Ooh, yeah.
So are they like a manifestation of the planet's will, the life stream, fate, destiny? They're just trying to keep everything on track to the original.
Yeah.
And then like you're getting at something has happened to cause
things to go different. And that's where I'm thinking that she, at the very beginning, is looking, because it's like immediately after that she walks out, and that's technically then when I think Cloud meets her. And then that's when these guys show up. The Whispers show up, and this is the first time we see them, is around her when she already starts talking differently and saying things differently than she did in the original.
Yes.
And it immediately pushes us to what the original story is. And there's multiple cases throughout the story now in Remake where anytime something starts to happen differently, they push us towards that. And almost every time there's something happening differently, Aerith is the one who either instigated it or is involved in it.
Somehow,
I realized.
Yep.
Like almost every time, it was like something she did differently caused something to happen that was different than the original, and then these guys show up and push you towards what is supposed to happen.
Right. Yep.
Like, it seems to be almost, not every occasion, because I think there's one then before the second reactor where they show up and they hurt Jesse so that Cloud goes on.
That's like the only one that's
Aerith
like,
is involved in any
Aerith isn't really involved.
But I think like the later
in a
ones,
way,
it's like...
In a way, because that's how Cloud meets her. If Cloud does not go on that mission, he does not fall and meet Aerith. So they're pushing... Again.
Right. So yeah, she's again has
involved.
to be part of it, because if Cloud doesn't go, so somehow it's like she either intentionally or unintentionally, and then there's things that she says throughout Remake.
Getting at what I said earlier, it seems like she knows what's going on.
Yeah. Because there's a line...
Like she's somehow done this before and she's trying to change it.
So... I guess jumping back to story-wise, so we can kind of keep on some sort of track here.
Right.
Now you go back and you meet Tifa.
Yes, another member of Avalanche. And somebody Cloud knows from his past.
Yes. Who you learn she's the one who actually found you, or you, I still do that.
Yeah, I know,
Found Cloud, and hired him for this. Brought him on.
Gave him the job. Basically,
yep. Brought him with, and she definitely remembers him from the past. And then you quickly find out, though, that something seems different. Like, she keeps hinting at something's different about Cloud.
I think she kind of does
like,
say,
you changed.
You seem different, And he's kind of like, what?
Yeah, so...
Maybe think it's almost, soldier and his time served, right? Wars messed him up or something.
So that's kind of, I think, only really... need to know here. You do a bunch of stuff with her, which is different in the remake.
It's nice
but there's nothing really to
explore like the slums a bit more.
Yeah, there's really nothing. It's just more to add to it. There's not really anything too important, I think, to go on. And then you get into that moment, though, that we were just talking about before, where the Whispers come in. Oh, then you do the whole thing with Jessie. I forgot. Then they added some more story with Jessie, where you go
her
and learn
backstory.
Some of her backstory.
Even a little bit with like Biggs and Wedge, but like more on Jessie. And that's like, it's one of those parts where you're like, oh, this isn't in the original. But then you're like, wow, but it does make sense and it does fit.
Yeah.
And you obviously know that they've put in more stuff to expand it into a full game.
It didn't really change it, and it just kind of adds to it. Because like the original, you go from blowing up Reactor 1, and then you go to, well, I don't remember what it I think it's 5 or whatever technically, but you blow up one reactor, and then it's like almost the next day you go and blow up another, and you're like, that's pretty ballsy.
Yeah,
you know, like,
right.
The next day we show up.
This makes a bit more
like
sense.
It feels like it's been a couple of days they prepared for it, and now you go on this mission with Jessie, so you get a little bit more with feelings with her.
Which also interesting, you're also introduced to Avalanche, which might be a little confused at first. You learn that there is another like section of Avalanche, and who you're with, Barrett and Tifa, Biggs, Wedge, Jessie, they're like just another. They're all split off like a splinter cell.
Yeah, they're a small cell of that organization, and they're the ones who are like Avalanche itself wasn't really terrorists. They weren't really violent.
They were more like the Protest is a good way of putting it. Like they were like, yeah, hey, you're killing the planet. Mako Energy is the life stream, and then now it's kind of like Barrett and this other splinter cell of Avalanche is like, oh, we're gonna do something about that. Yeah. So that's a little interesting. You get introduced to that side of them, and you also see a new character that's not in the original.
Yes.
Roche.
I forgot about mentioning him.
He is a soldier. That's another thing where you're like, oh, it's not in the original. But it makes sense, like, soldier is
Cloud
still...
always talks about first class, like, that was the big deal, and you meet, in a little while, Mr. President, Shinra, who mentions, like, there's only an elite few first class soldiers, and one of those was Sephiroth, who we will learn about, obviously.
Who you've seen, like, Cloud has had these visions of this scary dude, long silver hair, black clad, big sword that, you know, everybody knows. But if you like first time playing the game, Sephiroth.
Cue the music. Cue the music. I don't know how much
we
this
have
you can
his
see.
weapon here.
That's literally
this is
the
what
size of the screen.
What this dude carries around.
This is Sephiroth's weapon, Masamune. Yeah.
So that's what you have to be able to do to be first class soldier, which is what Cloud is.
I'd keep this in, but I don't know how we get it in the shot.
So awesome.
So anyway, we're a little all over the place.
So now we are introduced to a third class soldier. But again, it makes sense. Did
they call him third class in this one?
I thought so. I don't know why. That may just be in his info.
Oh.
That he is just like, he is a lower section.
Oh.
Like he's not, I know for sure he's not first class. He's supposed to be,
I guess you can tell. You should be able to tell from the outfit, actually, the colors of it.
Exactly,
which you learn in Crisis Core.
So it makes sense, though. Like, again, Cloud is saying he's from Soldier, and now we meet somebody from there. And, you know, you have a good boss fight, and it's like, it makes sense. Like, he's strong, like, it makes sense. But then, you finished all that up, and you eventually go on your... Well, this is what we were saying.
This is where the Whispers then show up, and they attack Jessie, and they hurt her leg, so she can't go with on the mission, and now they make Cloud... ask Cloud to go with on the second one.
Because originally, Barrett's like, "No, we don't need your help again." Again, which is different from the original. And now these Whispers step in to make something happen, so that Cloud joins the mission to go bomb the second reactor.
Yes. Which, in doing so, it's long story short, it's a trap. You end up fighting. You find Mr. President, Shinra, who I was talking about, who then talks about Sephiroth again a little bit, basically saying, I don't remember who you are. He doesn't know who Cloud is, even though he's saying he was a first-class soldier. He was one of these elite.
That's a little weird.
And he's like, I don't remember you. I only remember Sephiroth.
And kind of, explains what we explained earlier. Their plan of, basically, they've let them bomb the reactors.
Yes.
Shinra has let Avalanche bomb the reactors to put in play this narrative of Avalanche is teamed up with Wutai, the enemy from like the previous war. So now everybody's afraid of that and looking to Shinra for help.
Yes.
So Avalanche is trying to harm Shinra, and they have just spun this tale of everybody still just feeding right out of their hands.
Yes.
So you're just like, oh, these bastards.
Another thing in the original was not really elaborated on, but they added more to it in Remake.
And again,
good.
It's like, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but again, at first you're like, oh, there's not in the original. And then it's like, no, this makes sense that you're expanding on Wutai.
Yeah. And it adds to
the evilness of Shinra.
It adds to things that they just kind of glossed over in the original, and we never really got much answers for. And this is like, it's just adding more to why Shinra is evil.
Absolutely,
and hitting more of Shinra. But then you fight a boss who blows up this bridge, and Cloud falls through to the floor. Very iconic moment. And this is very similar. He falls through a church, and this is where he meets up with Aerith again.
And this is in one of our kind of things that we're questioning about Rebirth, is the voice in Cloud's head.
Yes.
Right? We do see a little part here of when he's like unconscious, and it seems to be himself.
That's right.
Talking to himself.
Yeah.
And then it kind of quickly turns into Sephiroth.
Yeah.
So this was one of our questions going forward in Rebirth.
Yes.
Is Cloud has the headaches, he hears the voices. There's a lot of parts with this. Whose voice is it?
Yes.
Is it
because in the original, obviously we don't have voice acting. So it's just the text, and it's just like, obviously that's really who is it. But now it's like we've seen where there's a moment where it happens and it's Sephiroth talking, and now there's a moment where it happens again and it's Cloud talking.
Yep.
It turns into Sephiroth maybe, and then all of a sudden Aerith peeks in and starts talking, and you're like, who is that? Because I remember originally playing it, and then you play it through and you learn about Zack, and you learn the whole backstory of which I don't know if we will elaborate right now necessarily. But,
we'll probably get to that.
I used to think that maybe that's Zack actually, and like talking to him in his head, and because he's thinking that's who he is and everything. So, but no, we don't really see that. And now, is it Sephiroth? Is it Genova, who we will learn about shortly? Not shortly, in a little while. We'll learn about Genova.
Pretending to be Sephiroth in Cloud's head?
In pretending to be all of these different people and just messing with Cloud's head completely.
Trying to gain his, control him, right? Manipulate him and control him.
But
so we get this, and then now we run into Aerith again, right?
Yes. Meet her again. This part's again a little different. Oh yeah, and then this is where the Whispers show up again.
They show up again.
And Cloud actually fights Reno this time. Oh, the Turks show up, I should mention. Reno.
So not much explanation at first, but eventually going forward you learn who they are, which is basically the CIA.
Yeah.
They kind of they're like, they kind of say
FBI, CIA,
like
special agents.
There's Shinra, and then like you have like the grunts basically. Like you've already come across the classic guys with the helmet and the guns. Like those are just like the ground troops.
Right.
Soldier is like the elite force, right? The higher up
PsyOps or whatever.
Right,
or
the Shinra troops, they're like the army,
troops.
and then they're like SEAL Team 6, right? The Green Beret.
Yes.
And then the Turks are like the CIA, the kind of the secret doing things, they don't really exist.
Yeah, they're always in the same suit.
Sum them up basically, the suit. They sum them up basically as like they do the dirty work.
Yeah.
So you're introduced to one of them, Reno.
In the original, you just run away. In this one, you fight Reno, actually.
Again, makes sense.
And then as Aerith is running away, now all of a sudden these Whispers pop up again.
And
are guiding you up through to make sure you go in the exact path that you went in the original.
Yep.
And going up through the roof of this church and escaping throughout the back door from the roof of it. Which, again, it's Aerith
Aerith at
point of this,
around
right?
Around the Whispers,
so
I think kind of.
But nothing more really to talk now.
The only you work your way through the slums. I don't think you do much now, but then you do run into another Turk. Run into Pitbull.
Rude.
You another fun fight. You fight this other Turk guy, Rude, bald, shades.
Which again, it didn't happen in the original, but in the remake now they elaborate.
Makes sense because if you know the original, Reno and Rude are always together.
Yeah.
So it's like when you think back to the original, that's actually really weird that you ran into Reno and not Rude.
Yes.
And now it makes sense. You actually run into both of them.
You kick them on your butts one-on-one, so then when you fight them later, where you're going to find them later, they're together always because it's like
you kick
the butts.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's another one of those, it's like, there's a whole bunch of extra stuff here that happens that didn't happen in the original. Not a lot of, like, story-wise, but it's just, fun extra.
Fleshing out Aerith a little bit.
Yeah. You just get more time with her as a character as well.
Yeah.
And then, I don't think we learn about her mother, that she was adopted, so we're going to learn that. And this is where we learn that she's a Cetra. I think that I think her mother mentions that she was a different girl and hears things like you learn that whole story. Which I don't know if
which is funny though, because then her mom is basically like to Cloud, like, get out.
Yeah.
Again, if you know the whole story, Crisis Core as well, you get it. But like, if not, you're kind of like, oh, she was kind of being a bitch.
Yeah, she's like, Aerith doesn't need her heart broken again.
But she does explain. She's like, you were a soldier, right? You guys traded a normal life like for power. So she kind of like explains basically, knows your trouble.
Yeah. Knows
Cloud's trouble. So like, get out of here. So Cloud's trying to get back to Sector 7, which is where Barrett and Tifa, where he explored before the slums, trying to get back to there. So eventually sneaks out. When this part is funny because you sneak out of the house, like while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
And Aerith somehow beats you.
Yeah.
And is waiting for Cloud.
It doesn't really make sense because you can get caught if you're going out. So she's in her room. Yeah,
so maybe she knows a shortcut.
I don't know. She might have jumped out her window or something in the back door.
Just fucking sprinted.
That's probably what happened. Yeah.
Waited for you.
That's probably what happened. She probably jumped out the windows her mom didn't see.
Yeah.
And then ran through the backyards and
backyarded it. Yeah.
That's probably what I was like. I've been waiting for you.
Yeah. So then you go to, you team up with her. You're trying to get back to
Sector 7.
Tifa and Barrett and everything.
And you do the whole wall market, Las Vegas.
Very extended here.
Yes.
So
we don't have to go into detail of this place too much, do we?
Just no, you don't have to.
Just the fact that you have to play it about 10 times.
All that. If you are trophy hunting, yes, this chapter I think is the one you have to replay the most.
Yes, this is the moment you meet her is where Chapter 9 starts, and you have to play Chapter 9 over and over and over to get all.
There's no way around. You don't have to play it 4 or 5 times because you
at least have to play it. If you knew what you were doing, you can do it in 3 tries, I think.
Right, but there's no way you're gonna know that.
Yeah, you have to be knowing that to be able to do it. But anyways, there's not a whole lot. You learn
just very curious.
Don Corneo, who might come into play in then.
Some of this is going to just be in Rebirth, so they added the whole dance thing. Like, is that somehow going to pop up in like the Gold Saucer? Like,
I wonder if there's like a DDR version of it or something.
Like they made it a point to make it a mini game. Gold Saucer has every mini game, so it's like,
not. Oh god.
Hopefully, it's not something you have to do, but it's just something that's in there.
Be all right.
And just now we're introduced to a couple of characters who again weren't in the original. Again, curious if
you
they're
forgot about the most important person.
It's Johnny. Yeah. So he actually is in the original. I don't know if he has a name.
They do call him Johnny.
They do call him Johnny. He's like just a little small character that you see running in and out of like the Tifa's bar or something.
You see him like two,
totally flesh out this character. He's this like hilarious character, always just effing up, and
totally love.
So yeah, so like, is he gonna pop back up somewhere again? Gold Saucer seems like the place.
Yeah.
You have these other characters: Chocobo Sam, Madam M, Andrea. Then like the dance guy. Yeah. They all just. To me, feel like that's the perfect time for them to all come back. Is Golden Saucer? I don't know.
That's true. They might
because they seemed important enough that you weren't just gonna like throw them away.
Yeah.
Leslie is another one. He's just kind of Don Corneo's henchman, and the other 3 basically work for him. But they all just seem like they had a little bit more screen time. Like they're probably going to come back.
Yeah.
And same thing with
somehow.
The soldier guy Roche. Like. Is he coming back or not? It feels like they are. Because it would be more weird if they weren't.
Yeah.
Again, right?
I guess you don't really go back to Midgar, so it'd be like they'd have to
the people in like the the wall market, like again, they're in Midgar, right? So that makes sense.
I guess Choco Sam would kind of you might even find him with Choco Bill. Maybe he's making trips back and forth with the Choco farmer. That's where he gets them.
Yeah, that could make sense.
Run into that.
But again, so again, like, is this dance part, this whole thing gonna somehow come back into Rebirth in some way? We'll see.
But you mean Don Corneo, one of the creepiest characters in all of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely nail him.
He's creepier than creepy. We don't necessarily. I guess it's not too important to the whole main story here. What it is, but just know he may pop up.
Again, yes.
They said we aren't going to go to Wu-Tai.
Correct.
So I don't know that we're going to get to. I was thinking today. I wonder if that's going to be a DLC, like intermission.
They could do. Oh, they could really do that.
The whole Wu-Tai thing is going to be another. Yuffie gets her DLC again.
If you know the original, Wu-Tai is optional.
Yes. Yeah. You don't
When
even
you
have
get,
to do it.
I believe it's after Rocket Town. You have the tiny Bronco, so now you're basically swimming around. You can skip Wu-Tai and that whole thing.
And if you don't have Yuffie, you don't even do it.
So that's kind of interesting how they have made it. They have stated, we are not going to Wu-Tai. So that's kind of interesting. And then that's why it would fit that it's like a DLC thing that you might not have to do. And then, going into the next chapter.
Yes.
Like it is in the original, it would be optional.
Right. That's what I thought about it today. And
That'd be
like,
fun.
That would
understand.
Because I was thinking about it, I was like, what would they do now? They're probably going to do a DLC for this. And like, what would they do? And I was like, Wu-Tai.
Because Remake
that would
has
make sense. It would be exactly like Intermission. And you're another thing of just basically Yuffie, and you could definitely make it long enough that it was worth being a whole extra thing.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so Cornel, though, tells you this is when you learn of that pillar is going to be destroyed because they learned that Avalanche is in Sector 7. And so Shinra's trying to kill Avalanche by dropping the pillar on them. So this is when we go... you fall through and you go through a few places.
Another thing that's like extended. They definitely extend the sewers and the train graveyard.
Oh, and this is where Aerith and Tifa start having some more conversations where Aerith starts... acting weird, where she's like hinting and almost like wants to tell Tifa like she knows what's going to happen.
Like Aerith really feels like she knows the plate is going to fall.
Yes,
Tifa's still kind of like
they couldn't do this, right? They're not. They're going to get. Everybody's going to get out, right? And Aerith's like
just dropping stuff that's like she knows this is going to happen.
Has a look of like she really wants to tell Tifa that they're going to be okay, but she knows they're not.
Yeah.
Like knows what
and I feel like
everybody
I think Tifa literally says at one part she literally looks at Aerith and is just like, "What do you know?" Or like, "What are you not telling us?"
Yes, yeah.
And so it's like, you really get that. They really, I feel like in this one remake have hammered home the Aerith acts a bit strange. The things she says again, the ancient hearing the planet or something, knows what's maybe gonna happen, and that Cloud is messed up. Like he has a lot more headaches, a lot more visions. I don't get how he's clearly having these headaches and this pain. Nobody's ever like they do ask him, they're like, "You okay?" And he always is just like, "I'm alright." Nobody's ever like, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
He has these multiple migraines.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, and just like
and everybody
functioning. Unless it is just maybe to him it's really a long time, quick. But for him, it's just really like a real quick of like a wince like this, and then that's all they see.
You're like, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." But it's like after it happens a dozen times, you're like, it's like what?
Tifa does though, I know.
She does a couple of times.
She definitely is picking up on something's different with Cloud.
Right.
But yeah. So, anyways, then you do that whole pillar thing. You go up through the pillar, and now this is where things get a little different again.
Yeah.
Where in the original, you watch Wedge fall from this pillar, assumed dead. Right. He falls from the top and just lands on the ground. And you're like, okay, he's probably dead. You watch Biggs fall and land on a railing, and you're like, and he does kind of like and doesn't really talk, so you're like, sure he's dead. He's just hanging over the railing. And then you see Jessie, and you talk with her, and she's shot and like dead. You see those scenes in this one. The only one, though, is Wedge you do see later, like I was saying.
Yes,
and
he does like survive, he heals up, he kind of helps people escape.
Yeah, which we don't see in the original.
Which, it could have happened. I just maybe didn't see that.
The one thing here, though, that it isn't confusing when you're playing the game, Jessie and Biggs, you're like, without a doubt, they were shot, they were killed going up from this pillar to try and defend it.
Die.
Yes, Jessie dies in Cloud's arms, which
it says that literally, if you look at the chapter summary, it literally says Jessie passes away in Cloud's arms.
Yeah, so it wasn't until recent trailers that came out, and this is part of where we kind of stopped wanting to watch the trailers because I was like, I want to find this all out, but they showed a scene with Biggs in it.
So if we jump a little bit, we do see the very ending. You do see Biggs in in a bed, like resting.
Oh, that's right. It is in the ending. Yes.
So we do see that in here.
And you're like, how?
Well, maybe, yeah, exactly. Like, not only, like, again, we're saying, like, he literally dies. Spoiler, the plate falls. So, like, even if he, like, survived the bullet wound, so much debris fell on him.
Yeah, directly from, like, where you were on. You were on that tower. That tower got blown up. Mm-hmm. And then the entire city above it falls down onto that city.
Right.
And it happens in a matter of minutes after you watch him pass out or die.
So it's just like, okay, how? Might tie into that a little bit later here.
So this is one of our big questions going to Rebirth. We'll get back to it.
But then, again, trailers have shown what seems to be Jessie singing at, like, what we're assuming is the gold saucer. Yeah. Because, again, if you know her history, she was supposed to be, like, a dancer or, like, something
they do say she was an actress.
Yes.
Her parents do say that. And they think that she's still an actress, but she's an Avalanche.
Yeah, so now it's kind of like,
I wonder if that one's
going to be a flashback? That could be. But, like, we do see Biggs. And so that's those three going forward. Yeah, we'll see about in Rebirth.
Very interesting moments there.
But, yeah, so Cloud goes up the pillar, which, again, is a little different because normally he's immediately joined by Tifa, but she kind of hangs back and then goes with you.
Yeah. And then joins up later, which I still don't really get why they needed to do that.
Mm-hmm. But then a little interesting part, you get to control Aerith as you kind of try to get everybody out of the slums and to go rescue Marlene. And so it kind of explains how then another Turk, Sung, finds her.
Yes.
Oh, which is like
this is another key point that we should bring up. Marlene also seems to be very in tune with things, and when she meets Aerith,
there's a little weird thing.
And there's a weird thing that I forget what happens, but there's a weird thing that happens, and Aerith is like,
she's like, shh.
Yeah, like Marlene's eyes like widen, and then she's
like almost like Aerith like
passes on her powers or something.
Yes,
to Marlene, right?
And like Marlene could hear what Aerith hears, or sees what she sees, or just has some vision.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is odd. And Marlene, which I don't know if we really brought her up, but she's Barrett's adopted daughter, which
I don't even know if it really does tell you
that she's adopted at this point.
It does just say his kid.
I guess it could happen, but the fact that Barrett is pretty dark colored
for a lighter way of putting it. Yeah.
He's not even like, oh, he might be a half. No, he's pretty dark colored. And then Marlene is like white, like ghostly white.
Maybe
so
like
Asian? yeah, like don't look anything. I guess sometimes that could happen.
That could happen, but like you kind of
assume like, okay, this probably isn't adopted at this point, most likely.
So anyways, Aerith's trying to get her out. Has that weird moment? Yeah. I don't think the Whispers are here. Like they don't really do.
Yeah, I don't
much
think the Whispers actually show up at this part.
Unfolds,
but that was during this whole thing is when she says Aerith says the line to Biggs in about like you can tell again like she knows that Wedge is going to die. Like he's like supposed to die. It seems like, and she's trying to like save his life without telling him how to save his life. She's like, just do everything you can, right? Like
you don't want to regret anything. Yeah, right? It's like what
she's saying. That's really weird things to say.
Yeah,
right? And it's just it's really good on the animation and the voice acting.
Yeah, because
Brianna White, shout out, because you really see in the facial expressions and feel in the voice the way she says these things that is making it seem. It's not necessarily what she says, it's how and the expressions and all that. The way that comes out is like something doesn't seem right with how you're saying that.
Yeah,
right? Because like she'd say like, oh, you want to make the best of it, but the way that she addresses it is like
she knows.
Yeah,
like she just knows. Yeah,
so good. But anyhow, so plate falls, but
there is a moment though actually with the Whispers I just remembered. So you're fighting Reno and Rude, the two Turks at the top of the pillar, and they interfere. The Whispers interfere and basically let the Turks then drop the plate. What's also interesting in the original, there's only Reno at the top of the pillar, and now we have both Reno and Rude Which again makes more sense.
No, at the beginning, no.
Rude
you
joins.
fight only Reno.
Yeah.
Rude shows up with the helicopter, right?
Yep.
To pick up Rude, or Rude picks up Reno in the original, but you don't fight Rude. This one, Rude drops down and you fight both of them.
Again makes
sense.
So
we should have.
And although just a little different thing, but in the original, Reno is the one who drops it. Like he pushes the button, drops it. This time, Rude makes a dash for it, and the Whispers interfere to let it happen. So again, this is where they just
and
interfere.
it's because there's another thing too. When they're in the helicopter, I think it shows a scene in the helicopter on the way there, and Reno talking with Rude, and Reno was kind of like, should we be doing this?
It does show them even
Is
hesitating.
this necessary?
Yeah.
And Rude's kind of just like, it doesn't matter, it's our job.
Yeah.
We were told to do it.
Kind of says like somebody else would do it.
You know? And Reno's kind of like, it still sucks though.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows a little bit different take that, like, in the original you think these guys
They're
just
just
don't
straight
care.
evil. Yeah.
And this one is like, they are actually questioning a little bit, but they're like, just, this is our job. And so I'm kind of almost forced to, and like Rude says, like, if we didn't do it, they're going to make somebody else do it. So,
but I would say this is one of the biggest parts with the Whispers, where you're like, what are they doing? Because they clearly let like this happen.
Yeah.
But again, it's not like they're keeping Destiny on track. This plate, and the timeline, this plate has to fall in order for the the next events to unfold. So it's like, okay,
it goes with that. Like, this is the second. It's your second playthrough.
Yeah.
It's your second time through this timeline.
Yeah.
Aerith, I think, is actually the one who's playing it.
Or is at least aware of that?
That it's happening again, and she's trying, but also knows that she can't. Like, you're trying to fight Destiny.
Yes.
Is the whole point in this whole thing, and that's what those guys are. The Whispers are basically Destiny, and you literally fight them. In all of these scenes, you're fighting them off. And we'll get to the end here, the culmination of it, but so
after the plate falls, which is just like another one of those scenes we kind of talk about with like the reactor exploding in the original, you're like, okay, this one's like another, like, you see the destruction of it, and it hits way harder.
There's a scene.
You got like
you might not get it actually, because you can get one of 3 different scenes depending on your direction. But there's a scene with Tifa shortly after this with Cloud, and she like breaks down and it's just like, we caused this because of us blowing up the reactors. They reacted to us, and we caused the whole. So like, it's our fault that the plate was dropped. And there's so much thirst, and she just breaks down and then like embraces.
We actually see Cloud have like an emotion. He actually like hugs her back,
and that scene really got me.
That one gets you teary-eyed because she says, they've stolen our home twice now. So we, you learn some history of Cloud and Tifa. They're from Nibelheim, which they kind of have explained, not thoroughly. We're going to get more of this in Rebirth. But again, if you know the whole story, their, town is burned down. And Tifa's like, now they just dropped a pillar on, like, where we lived. Like, a plate, sorry. And, so this is the second time Shinra has killed a bunch of people that, like, we know has destroyed our homes. Like, I can't keep getting away with it.
But
so again, you see, this you just really see the destruction of the plate falling and like aftermath. And going forward, this part might be like my least favorite that they did add. Going and exploring the
underneath
the lab underneath Sector 7.
Yeah, it just felt out of place.
Yeah, it
was like out of timing. Why? Because you're trying to, I guess, go through the rubble and see if anyone survived, but it's like you're not. I don't know.
Another thing in the original, it's like plate falls, you go to try to find Marlene, and like you immediately go to the Shinra building, and it's kind of like, why you don't even check on Sector 7?
Because, we forgot to. But so Aerith, in exchange for her getting captured by some, they allow Marlene to go, and Marlene goes to Aerith's mom's place. So yeah, that's what you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the original, we go to Marlene, who then we find out is safe, and then it's we need to get Aerith back, and we go right to Shinra. In Remake, there's a lot of detours in between.
Makes a bit more sense if you're like, yeah, we gotta actually check out the damage of this, and then see if anybody's okay. And then it's kind of like, and then you're saying a little bit more in there. So then you go to Sector 7 to check out the damage. You find Wedge is alive, which is like another part where like they saved him, but they literally show him in like debris falling on him.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, like
how?
If you saved him, why do you almost kill him again and then like kill him off later? So it's,
he's like watching as it's falling. And
so you're
like
oh, okay, they
like,
this is when they do kill him. Oh no, he's still like alive.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
So then they've like kind of hinted at it before in like side quests that there's like a lab below the sector. It just kind of just fleshes out Shinra, just labs and testing on humans and
weird
beasts. Just like it's just like
humans,
everywhere. It just feels a little bit more of an excuse to, because what happens is you go down there and then you fall down further, and you actually control Barrett, and like you don't get Cloud.
Oh, that's right.
So it feels like an excuse to just like control Barrett, and like just a little part that you don't have Cloud in.
Yeah, it just felt like
the only thing
they
really add, and like the only thing that this part like does is you find these things, and they kind of say like, oh, these were like humans that were experimented on.
Yeah, but it's again not necessary, because then you do it again in the Shinra building.
Correct. Yeah.
Where like this could have just been happening in the Shinra building.
Because so the only thing is then you go back to Aerith's mother, because originally in Remake you're like, we gotta go save Aerith, and her
after
mom,
all that, they were like, oh,
and her mom is like, don't, you're gonna make things worse. They sometimes, Shinra, and the reason the Turks were after Aerith is because they know what she is.
Yeah. I think then she explains more in Remake here of what she is than you get in the original, but...
So she's like, hey, this has happened before. Shinra's always after her. They give her back when they realize like she won't help them.
Yeah.
And with, their whole thing is the Promised Land, right? Finding Mako energy. Believing Aerith can lead them to that because of what she is.
Yeah.
So the only point that this part adds is then Cloud is just like, they experiment on humans, and comes back to Aerith's mom and is like, they are not going to leave her alone. I know them. They're going to experiment on her.
Yeah. And
that's why we have to save her.
They're going to either kill her or turn her into some monster by experimenting.
But again, like you're saying, like, I don't know if they really needed that, because like,
do we really need an excuse to go save Aerith?
Yeah.
No. Right? Like, that was the original. It was like, no, we hate Shinra.
She saved
Shinra's
Marlene.
Evil,
we're gonna go save her,
and they captured her. Yeah, like, we're gonna get her back. So, yeah, I kind of agree. It was kind of felt a little unnecessary and just kind of an excuse to add a little dungeon or a play of Bears.
Not horrible.
Not horrible. I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of an odd. But yeah, so then we kind of get back on track here. There's a lot of obviously added things in how to get to the Shinra building.
Yes.
Is a little different.
Oh, that's right, because then you go back to... Walmart. They kind of change it up again, from the original, because you do go to Wall Market to sneak up to the plate to get to the Shinra building. Mm-hmm. This one, you do a little bit more dicking around in Wall Market to get to the part where you climb up to the plate.
You do the same thing, just slightly different of how you do that.
Mm-hmm. So I guess this is like another part.
It adds a lot more of side things that
they added. Not like my favorite part, but like it fleshes out the character Leslie. Again, it's like they gave him more screen time, where it just feels like he might come back.
Character, he's a different character. Another story of Shinra being evil and another way to hate Corneo.
Yeah, just kind of adding that part home.
Character, but so then you end up
like climbing basically the plate to get to the building. Like this part, it makes sense. Like it's kind of changing up the little part where you
because
if you remember in the original, you had to like go get the batteries, and you had to like time that weird jump thing and climb out. It's like, no, let's just make this like a little.
And it just didn't make sense, like climbing for a little while. And you're supposed to be climbing for like ever to get to the top of this place. This actually felt like you were doing it for a while. You're actually going up this place,
going through ruins.
Yeah,
and again, which is
up to the top.
Another part, I remember thinking like, it's really selling home the destruction on the bottom. You're like, they keep saying they dropped the plate onto these people, right? But then you're like, there were people living on the plate. Yeah. Now this is where it sells that part home.
Yes.
That you're climbing up, and it's like,
so they didn't just destroy one district. They
destroyed the poor people. Like they
killed the
yeah,
rich people's homes.
Yeah,
and dropped them.
So that's another part.
They took the rich homes and they threw them at the poor homes and killed everyone in between.
Yes,
like
that's
no
gets
small
more
thing.
Yeah, driven home even more than original because again you're kind of climbing up this thing, right? So you do that part. Eventually make it to the building. Another thing they change up just slightly.
Yeah,
makes more sense.
Again, you're like, okay,
how you get into the building.
Make more sense this way.
The classic choice you get in the original: do I climb 100 floors of stairs?
Yeah.
Or rush in the front of the building?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you always got to rush.
So you always have to do it, right? Yeah. I think I have one time did the stairs. It is a long time.
Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah.
That was my first choice when I first played this when I was like 6 years old. Yeah, and I remember Chad asking it and was like, "Do you want to?" And I was like, "Let's do the stairs." That makes the most sense, right?
Yeah, it actually is the smart option. Why would you run in the front door?
I was like, that seemed like a trap. Like I'm gonna get game over if I do that. Like
so logical thinking.
I'm gonna go to the stairs, and he was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, go to the stairs." And he was like, "Oh my god, okay." And he's because he controlled for me at that point. I was so little, I didn't really get the controller, so he was the one doing all the running.
Like you just do X for battle, right?
Yeah, I would do the battles and then tell him where their treasure box. And I remember him just being pissed, like, "Oh my god, how many floors are there?"
It's solid 10.
I want to say we almost reset. I think I might have reset.
It is long enough to think. I think it was to that point.
I think it was enough of where he was just like, "No, we're not doing this," and reset the game to
the like,
save right before, and it was like, "We're going in. We're doing it the right way because this was stupid."
You don't get that option right away. You can do it later though.
Yes.
But then
just started
kind of
doing like this is ridiculous.
You're like, instead of rushing through the entrance, Cloud's like, "Oh, we'll sneak in through this way." Yeah, like the parking lot, basically.
Yeah, you go on like the back door. Or whatever.
Oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes more sense. And then, at first though, it's really jarring because when you get in, you finally get into like the front lobby, and then it's empty, and you're like, "Where is everybody?" Makes sense. And they do.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
So they do a whole bunch of things slightly different, and you make your way up to it.
This is where it does start to get a little bit different from the original. And, like, not really because of, like, the whispers and keeping it on.
Yeah.
It's just, like, throughout Shinra Building, you did a couple, like, mini-games, almost, if you will. You had to, like, put parts of the map. You had to, like, you know what I mean? Go open the treasure boxes and put parts of the map of, like, Midgar. And then, you know, you could get the key to go to the next floor. You had to, like, crawl through vents and open and close some so you could get all, like, the items.
Yeah,
and then
do the
get the key
bookshelf
to go. Get the bookshelf to get the password or the code for the mayor.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't really do that stuff.
You do one little thing, Tifa falls, which is then you gotta climb up around things, and like that was pretty much it. So they cut out a lot of that portion of it. But again, when you stop and think about it, you're like, it does make more sense how they did it.
Yeah.
Which I guess we could get into.
But you're the mayor.
But you're the mayor?
Maybe you're doing the intro for the video.
Yeah, I think I have that saved.
So another thing, a little different from the original, but it makes sense. You're making your way up through Shinra Building, everything seems fine. You're slowly just climbing floors. Think before you meet the mayor, you actually run into like a Shinra infantry guy, this little grunt, and he recognizes Cloud.
Oh, that's
Do you remember this? And he name drops somebody from Crisis Core, Kunso, who was like Zack's friend. So I thought that was very really cool, little interesting.
He's like, I'm gonna go tell Kunso.
But also another part, you're on an elevator. I think this is like before you meet the mayor, right? Going up, and like you're clearly caught. Like you fight guys once or twice.
Yeah.
You like a lady sees you, And then, like, again, this grunt guy literally recognizes you. Also, you're walking through with Buster's sword, and Barrett's 10-foot tall ass, and one arm is a giant turret gun.
Gun arm, which they have established that he's the leader of Avalanche, is a guy with a gun for an arm. There can't be that many in the world that have got a big giant dude with a gun arm.
So you're just running through the whole building.
Yeah, you're like
obvious as all hell, running into people. Right? Yeah, we're not good ninjas. Not the job class here, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, I think it kind of explains that there is a Avalanche contact. You have a guy on the inside. Mm-hmm. Again, this kind of the bigger group, not your little Barrett and Tifa splinter cell. The main organization.
Oh, and they call it like from headquarters. They kept saying or something.
Yeah.
So like Avalanche has a headquarters.
That's what the bigger group is called. Is like the headquarters. So you're kind of trying to find this person, and then that's when you figure out that person is actually the mayor of Midgar. And that's where the funny "You're the mayor" comes in, because Cloud says wait, you're the mayor, and he mimics him.
Mocks him. Which you learn. This is where you really learn that. Okay, Midgar is the city. Mm-hmm. Shinra is the electric company that powers the city. But Shinra is so powerful, they basically run the whole city. That the governor, the mayor of this city is all but just a face. He actually has no power.
Yep.
Shinra has the military. Shinra has all of the wealth. Shinra does
power.
Whatever Shinra says goes.
Yeah.
So they may as well not have a government at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. It would kind of be like Amazon or something, right? Just had more power than the government.
Yeah, basically.
It's again a little bit of a metaphor of the 1% really control everything.
Yeah.
That kind of is
it's kind of like
the parallel they're getting at.
Is the government really in control, or is the government controlled by the money that's behind that? Is basically what they're getting at.
Yeah.
But then here we learn that the mayor
has been helping the group out.
Yeah.
He even explains he's
more along the lines of the mayor of Avalanche, actually.
Yeah. Because he explains, and then you're I think that's where the "you're the mayor" part comes in, because he's like, wait, you're wouldn't you be helping Shinra? And he's like, hell no.
Yeah.
Look
they stripped all my power, and they put me in this little
in a closet in a library.
I
have
sit behind
power.
This desk doing nothing.
Yeah, yes, I want it. So he's been the guy helping you out, cutting the camera feed.
Yeah, he's like, who do you think's been helping you get this far, you idiots?
Got this far? You scared this lady half to death.
You ran up to the camera and smiled, basically,
You really didn't think you rose one alarm here? So that's a part that's that made sense now. That's why
a lot more sense than how our original.
In the original, you run into this guy, but he's not really anything.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Oh no, he's helping you. That makes perfect sense. So he kind of helps you then get to the next couple of floors, but he still can't get you all the way.
Yes. Still got to do something. And then again, it's slightly different, because then I think now you go up a few floors, not much really to talk about until you hit Hojo.
You learn a little bit more just about Shinra. They take you through.
Right. No,
you see that the vision.
That's right.
thing.
That's right. Because this is another thing that makes me want to bring up my whole point with Aerith that I was getting at the beginning. I almost forgot about this. So you see the whole thing. Shinra talking about their new utopia. They're going to redo a new Shinra, and they're looking for this promised land that's full of Mako energy, and it's so much that they can build.
It's supposed to be where the ancient people, who used to inhabit the people who used to inhabit the planet, who Aerith is a descendant of. They could use magic and talk with the planet. Right?
So much Mako energy there that they can build. What do they? Shinra's.
They call it Neo Midgar.
Neo Midgar, that's what it is. So rebuild a whole new, and they show what it's going to look like. This awesome utopian.
Because Midgar is very dark.
Yes.
Right? It's very dystopian steampunk kind of vibe. Where again the point
is
it's
night all the time because
the pollution from the reactors is what they're. And then they show Neo Midgar. It looks all white and futuristic, spaceshipy, right?
It's this is what Shinra's trying to do for the world.
Which, I think it's a thing that's a little hinted at, doesn't hit you over the head with. That is why right now they're getting Shinra is grabbing Aerith back. Yes, because now they are moving forward with these plans of a new utopia, new Midgar, and in order to build that, they need more energy, more Mako.
Yes, they need to do it on
They
that
need
promised
land. That's like they kind of explain like is in like the ancient scripture.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
So nobody really knows, but they think
they believe it's real.
Maybe she knows because she is a descendant.
So
of
now
these
they're
people.
like, go
so
get
she
her.
has to know these secrets of the descendant. People,
Yeah,
right.
they're like, go get her. She's going
racist,
to
but,
right. Go find this, little chunk of land, this promised land, wherever it is. And,
you're Asian. You must know where these things are. Like,
right.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's
Like, I was just seeing the whole. Don't get too political, but I was seeing a thing that what was it? The social media people or something were on, and there's one guy and he looks Asian, but he was from Singapore, and the guy or something like that, and the guy kept going like, "Are you in with the Chinese government?" He's like, "I've never been to China." And the guy,
he's like, I'm from Asia.
I will ask you again.
Yes.
Are you in any way, shape, or form, or have been part of Chinese government? And he's like, I've never been to China. I'm not. It was like the most racist thing you could be saying
That's
right
so
now.
funny, yeah.
Okay, I look like I'd be, but I'm not. I've never been to China. I'm born and raised, completely different country. And it's like that's basically what they're doing to Aerith. They're like,
yeah,
hey, you're that race. You must know where that place is.
Where
right?
your people
And
are.
she's like, I have no idea where it is. And even if I did, I'm not going to tell you.
I'm only half. Dude.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's. But then, so it shows you that, and it's in this like
Simulator.
Yeah.
So it's showing you this
giant dome simulator.
Yep,
thing.
this big vision, and it kind of just explains a little bit more history and
all of a
Shinra.
sudden, it shifts, and you start seeing now. If you have played the original, you would recognize these scenes immediately, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is the ending."
Yeah.
You see, this is the ending. And
giant-
again, spoilers. It's meteor falling towards Shinra. Or falling towards Midgar,
yep.
and starting to like destroy it, and you're like, "This is like the end," and it's showing those guys, and everybody's seeing this, and it's a really weird thing. And you see Sephiroth, right?
Yep. Yes, I think
Show
he
up
does
in
appear.
the distance and that, and you're like,
He may say something. I forget.
Yeah.
I think
It's a
Cloud
very-
looks over at like Tifa and Barrett, and like now they're like,
"Oh yeah," then
dead.
he stabs them both,
Yeah.
right? And they look like they die, and then all of a sudden, and it's back to normal, and they're like, "That was weird." That is another thing to me of showing that like through Genova manipulating the simulator showed that was originally what the timeline is, and we're doing that again. But Aerith is trying to stop that, so it made me believe because the original ending, it kind of left us at, did we stop? We saved the planet. We know we saved the planet because you see 500 years later, Red.
if you take out Advent Children, Seven's ending, bro. If I played that today, would not be okay.
Yeah.
It leaves it so much up in the air.
I think what it gets at, it is like, no, it killed off people. It's like the people that were destroying the planet and the viruses, I guess you could say, that were eating away at the planet gets killed off. The planet itself is saved, and the things that weren't actually killing it, like Midgar, is destroyed.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know if that meant everybody survived or not, right? But this is where now you see this scene, and now with everything going on, it leads me to believe like, no, you failed. Like the world basically like ended. Like somehow Red survived. But
maybe
like,
that was
maybe that's it. Maybe
that
he's the
was
only
it.
one left that's on this planet. Like everything else is like died off. Maybe that was a failure.
Like you saved the planet, but nobody.
But nobody on the planet. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, Sephiroth's kind of one. So maybe that's what they're getting at, and that's part of. Not only is Aerith trying to not die, but she's also trying to stop Meteor from ever being summoned, even or something, or stopping it before it gets to that point, right? So that scene also led me to believe that whole thing of like, this is a second playthrough that has happened, and that's why Genova is showing them like, look, this is what my plan is, and this has already happened. It's going to
try
happen.
and stop me.
You're all gonna die.
Can't stop. Won't stop. Also, so if you're kind of like why is that happening? At that point, I think the next scene is it shows Sephiroth walking through Shinra building, and somebody sees him. So this whole time, Palmer, one of Shinra's higher ups, goon.
Yeah.
Up until this point, every time you've seen Sephiroth, it's just been in like Cloud's visions.
Yes.
So you've been
And
like,
nobody
no,
else
he's
really
not.
saw him.
He's not alive. Like they explain he died, years ago. So he's not.
Oh yeah, and so sorry, cut you off, but like, all of the visions before, nobody has seen Sephiroth or what Cloud was seeing whenever Sephiroth showed up, and Cloud was like freaking out, and they're like, no, nobody was there. In that simulator, Baird and Tifa saw all that, and they were like, what the hell was that?
Like, that didn't seem kid appropriate.
Yeah.
And then at that same time, somebody is seeing Sephiroth.
Yes. So it's like all of a sudden now in Shinra building,
me is
Sephiroth now
also
is
why the simulator is going bug is because Sephiroth is like here causing some kind of interference. But yeah, so then Tifa and Barrett are both like, yeah, we saw that too. So you're like, that's a little strange. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
You kind of go on, you learn a little bit more about President Shinra, the departments, everybody,
Then I think you shortly get to Hojo's place, right? You meet up with Hojo then?
You spy on the meeting first, right?
Oh yeah, you see the thing of
because I forget how you learn about the meeting, right? You run in, somebody mentions
you jump in a bathroom.
Yeah,
you go to the bathroom.
But like somebody because you already know at that point,
like,
that there is a meeting. I forget if it's like you see like President Shinra, and then you're like, oh, like follow him, and because the whole point, you're trying to get to Hojo, who's in charge of like the science department. Because he is probably holding Aerith.
Yeah, that's right. This happens because this is how you know where Hojo is.
Yeah. So then, you do the same part like in the original. You go through the bathroom and climb up and go.
Listening to it. And so it shows, this is where it shows, there's Reeve Suetsi.
Yeah.
I think is how you say his last name. But Reeve, he's the head of the urban development for Shinra. And he's laying out this plan.
This is how we rebuild.
Shinra. Yeah, he's like, this is going to cost like $1 billion, Gil, but here's the plan to rebuild the plate, and here's how we can get started on it right away, and it's going to and then President Shinra just cuts him off, and he's like, we're not rebuilding. And he's like, what? And this is basically where he's like, we don't care about Midgar anymore, we're focused on Neo, or is it Neo Midgar?
I think it's Neo Midgar, where he's like, we're
Midgar?
bigger, better things, we're moving on.
Why rebuild this when we can just build a whole new city on the Promised Land because we've got the Ancient back in our capture. And then Hojo walks in and he's like, where are we at with the Ancient?
I feel like at first with Hojo, I was like, oh, they could have made him a bit more evil. Like I was thinking like his evil laugh, a little bit more like, Mwah.
Yeah.
But he is this perfect, like they nailed him. His voice and his like subtle evilness, we see it come out. Because President Shinra is now basically like, you make her tell us where this promised land
whatever
is,
it takes,
so we can go forward with our plans. And
he's like, I'll make her fuck a dog.
He's literally like,
I don't care what it takes. If she's got to fuck a dog, just
he's basically like, we could
for those who know,
our chances. Yeah, for those who know the original, and he even says he's like, to increase our chance, like we could have her breed.
Yeah,
and then basically he's like, and I'll torture her. And then, like, everybody else chimes in, like, oh, you have my weapons, and, my troops. And he's like,
makes no sense,
oh, I'm thinking more psychological. And you're like, oh, you're so fucked up. Like,
his logic still doesn't make sense to me, because he's like, oh, the amount of time it would take to, like, extract the data from her brain would be more than her lifetime. So I'm going to expand her lifetime by breeding with another species that has an extended life. And you're like, well, then how would you be alive for it?
That's
and how are you going to get it faster? It's still, you're saying it's going to take 200 years or something.
Yeah.
Like, it still doesn't make sense. Like, how is making her stay alive longer going to get it out faster?
Right.
President Shinra's like, I don't want it in 200 years. Like, I need that information.
So he's pretty much like, do what you got to do.
Yeah. So I don't get Hojo's logic. I think he was just like, I want to see your fucking dog.
Yeah. Right. This one it elaborates more on like he hints at like soldier. More.
Yeah.
So this one, again,
they changed it more.
This one they definitely changed it.
Like,
he's not trying to have Aerith breed with Red 13. I think they can't.
And they say like breed. I think it's more of test tube. I think style of DNA.
In the original, there's
breeding. But the original is the like
literally releases Red 13 in the same cage and he's chasing her around.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you're like, what are we watching right now? What is happening?
The plan? Yeah.
Fucked up.
Changes a little bit, but
Hojo, that's not how it works. Right?
Right? Like,
what do you think is going to happen?
Species breeding? I don't know. So then you Cloud and everybody follows Hojo out of that meeting because again, that's trying to find Hojo, his department. That's probably where Aerith is. And again, mixes things up a little bit different. So now you follow Hojo to his spot, and you fight that one experiment boss thing. You actually fight that like before you get Red 13.
Yes.
But again, how they like introduce Red 13 is a little different. He seems a lot more feral, right? Like in the original, he kind of like just like explains. He's like, "Oh, that was an act, you know, right? Like I was just like pretending to chase Aerith."
Yeah.
And then this one, it's like after you fight that boss, you go to track down Hojo again, and I'm trying to remember. You go up like the one floor to track him down, and I think Red 13 like escapes at that point, and goes to chase Hojo, gets stopped, he escapes, and he's like coming towards like the party now, almost like he's still gonna go at them, and Aerith kind of almost has another moment like she did with Marlene.
That's right.
She like touches Red 13, and you like see him change. His eyes change. He like retracts his fangs.
That's right.
And then he starts, like he like comes to. He like, it's almost like he was brainwashed. Yeah. Like he was not thinking normally. Like Hojo did something to him to make him
mind controlled, like Terra style and 6 or
and
something.
Somehow Aerith undoes that. Yeah. Doesn't really like explain that. And then he like talks, and then his dynamic with like Barrett is so great. There's so many good parts. But he...
Yeah, Red 13 nailed him again, too.
Yeah.
Every character in this game.
So it was a bummer you didn't get to play him.
Yes.
He's like a guest in your party.
It.
I get it.
Because it was like...
It wouldn't be much, but...
It'd be like 2 chapters you get to play him.
Yeah.
But...
It's still... Right, yeah. So,
it still would have been cool, too, like... If you would have had hard mode from the start, and then New Game Plus on hard mode, and then you would have had access to every character throughout the whole game.
Yeah, right. So like when you beat the game and go back, you can do chapter selection, right?
Yes.
That would be like, yes, I know in this chapter you can't use Aerith or Red 13, but in New Game Plus, you have them in your party. Yeah. That's what I was hoping too.
Yeah, and then you could have been like, well, now it would be... Now I can take Red 13 and play the game again with him in myself. So even though in the story I only have 2 chapters.
Right, yeah.
Which sounds like they might be doing the same thing with Sid and Vincent in this next one.
Yes, that was going to be...
I don't know if they've stated that for fact.
Because
I've seen a lot of people basically saying that, but I don't know that they have actually...
I know they...
For sure stated they...
For sure they have said Vincent's like a guest. I think I've for sure read Vincent will be like Red 13.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what I've seen. But then
they said at least one. Oh, yeah, that's right. They did say at least one character is not.
But then what I was curious at is Sid. We know we get him. We know we go to Rocket Town. That's before the City of the Agents.
Even if they change up the order, it would not make sense to do that after the scene they've already.
So again, time-wise, that's the same thing as Red 13. Like you're only going to have him for a place or 2.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious. Are Sid and Vincent going to be playable, or are they going to be guests, or not even?
Yeah, I wonder if we even just
because we know
I wonder if we just see Vincent in this time. We just do that scene.
He doesn't even.
But instead of him joining you, he just goes back to sleep.
To sleep, maybe.
And then you have to. Then we'll be able to go back there almost immediately.
Because again, I get it. It's not much time, and you have to have something for part 3.
Yeah. Right.
Like.
That's what I'm thinking too.
So
you would have no new characters in part 3.
Yes, yeah.
And it would be kind of like, all right, well, what's the difference now?
Yeah,
it's already like this is the main Rebirth is the main juicy part of 7. It's the best part, I would say.
Yeah, it's the heart of the whole story.
How are you gonna part 3 then? How are you gonna add something new if everything is thrown out? So I kind of get it, but yeah, again, going back to now with Remake and how Red wasn't playable, just adds to the excitement now.
That's true. Again,
now
so
it's
like
another character. How does he play? I want to control him.
I wouldn't say he.
I want to ride a chocobo with him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he wasn't one of my favorite characters. I just never really used him in the original because you used him a lot.
In the
so
original,
it's like, you used him. The different party going
my
through.
My first solo playthrough, I should say, where I actually beat the game, I actually used Red and Yuffie first.
Yes,
which is probably one of the most odd
maybe be worse because their ultimate limit breaks are technically that turn out to the worst.
I could argue though it's better because then you don't have to have their ultimate limit break on. You can have their level 3 limit break, which does multiple hits.
Better.
Both of them do multiple hits.
So you can actually
build and you get it faster because it's not level 4.
So if you don't use their ultimate ones,
you get their ultimate early where you're doing max damage real fast with it, but then you switch it at a certain point where you're like, now I can do more damage off of these multiple hits, whereas everybody else, in order to do that, you'd have to have a level 4, so it's going to take
longer to build up. Yeah. So now, going forward with Red 13, he may not have been like one of my most used characters. Now he is, because like now you play the whole game, you don't get to play him. Like, I am going to use the hell out of him. He's pretty much going to always be in my lineup. Yeah. I think going forward.
Unless I absolutely hate him.
Yeah, how he plays, if he's just terrible. Don't think so. I'm super excited about his moves. How they're going to do. How is he going to attack in his moves?
He looks crazy. Just from the few scenes that I've seen in the trailers, he's like flying all over
Rebirth,
the place.
I'm very curious how limit breaks are going to be, because we get 2 in Remake, and they kind of, the second one jumps like a limit break level or 2. Like Cloud basically has like Clem Hazard.
Yeah, Ascension was like multi-hit into Clem Hazard. Yeah.
Barrett's is literally his final.
Yeah, right.
Like I forget if they. I think they changed the name, but it's literally the same thing. Like he jumps in. Like do they call it?
Doesn't
catastrophe or catastrophe?
They call it like catastrophe or something.
And it's literally the same thing. He jumps in the air and just like a Kamehameha. Just
doesn't Barrett though have another like lower level version of like the final one? Just doesn't hit as much, but it's a multi-hit like that.
He does. He's got.
Was it Ungermax?
Ungermax where he just unloads, but that's like his ability. You know, he's got the one where he just keeps firing at them.
But I'm saying Limit Break in the original.
Yeah, right? That's what he has. So, he has got the Ungermax.
You're saying
where
that they made an ability.
Yeah,
like Braver is an ability.
Exactly. So there's a couple Limit Break abilities that make abilities, and then there's a couple Limit Breaks that were Limit Breaks. Barrett had his final one.
Yes. Where are we going?
So is going forward is his final one or his like strongest one in Rebirth. I don't know. I guess what is Barrett's final one going to be then? Are we going to get the same limit breaks again? They're just going to be stronger, or are we going to get? I don't like. Is Cloud going to have Cross Slash and Ascension? Now we get another 1 or 2, or are we going to start with Cross Slash and we're going to get Tornado and Meteor Rain?
This might be something already that was answered in the demo again, which we're like, I want to wait to find it out.
Yeah,
the night
again,
So
very curious. Yeah, limit breaks and what are and aren't going to be limit breaks, and like an example of Red 13.
Yes.
Also, because if you've played Intergrade, you have an idea of how Yuffie plays.
Mm-hmm.
So
does she get limit break in Intergrade?
Yes. I'm trying to remember it now. If it's something like teaming up with what's his name? The other character you get.
Oh yeah. I can't remember his name.
But either way, I think she's probably gonna be changed up a little bit wise, but Red 13 is you got no clue.
Mm-hmm.
And if Sid and Vincent are playable, is Red 13 then technically the only character who's totally brand new?
Kate Sith.
Oh, nobody let somebody let me know if you used Kate Sith ever.
I have never used it in multiple. I know though I have heard now that he is used in so many speed runs because of his slots that you can there's a way to basically glitch and manipulate his slots so you can get the game over. So, or not the game over, the insta kill.
Insta kill, yeah.
So you just once you get him, you just use it on every single boss.
I will say being older
so it's
now,
there's separate categories of speed runs. It's speed run with slots and speed runs without slots. It's
and
you can literally kill all the weapons in one shot with it because you can just manipulate it.
I guess I've never thought of that. Yeah,
but
and how do you actually say it? Kate Sith, the Japanese version is
So technically, I was just hearing this again. Ketchi. Ketchi is actually totally Irish.
Is Kate Sith a mispronunciation again? Technically,
I wouldn't say mispronunciation. I think it would be more of an English translation of how an English pronunciation of it. But I think from what I've heard in multiple different places, shout out every FNFF and FF Weekly. In both of them, they said, I think, basically the same thing, that Ketchi is a Irish folklore of a like cat fairy that is like a whimsical and low-key like figure.
Yeah, okay.
Trickster kind of fairy. So it fits the character. But yeah, it's Ketchi, and then in Japanese it would be like Ketoshi.
Yeah.
Ketoshi or something. But yeah, so the English way to say that is,
I guess it's like one of those things that there's like no English word for that, so it's like the closest is
right, or it's just like
Sith, like
your name is this in Japanese, but then they come here and you're like, you call me Kevin. Like, it's like
Kevin, yeah.
Why would you
same word, yeah. But being older now and understanding a bit more who and what Cait Sith is, I get it. I like him a lot more, but it's just still like how he is and how he plays. Like, he's just this pink thing that just sucks.
I don't think I ever understood him in the original too. Like, it was too clunky of graphics still.
Yeah.
And I was like,
so
I don't understand. He's just this big floppy blob or whatever.
Yeah. Now it's like, I see more what he is.
He's more of the cat. I always thought he was just like this big dumb Moogle with a Instead of yelling, he hits you with a microphone.
Yeah, didn't quite get that Cait Sith, the cat thing was controlling this thing.
Mostly didn't use him too because I hated his limit break. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't like
how he.
I would rather have more limit breaks than just the two, and they're boring.
And
then the slots was just
random. Like sometimes he might. Yeah. So it was like, just let us know in the comments if you used them.
Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, we get. Red 13 jumps in as a guest party member, in and out.
At this part here, so like you get Red 13. I think this actually might happen right before you get Red 13. Either way, it's right around this part. Hojo is actually about to spill the beans to Cloud. Yes. He's like, he looks at Cloud and he's like, "Oh, you're a soldier," because of his eyes and the Mako energy.
Yeah.
Cloud's like, "Yeah," and he goes like, "Oh, wait. No, I think he literally says, he's like, wait, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And then, like, before he can get off, the Whispers come in and carry him off.
Yes. And that's, like, the last we see of Hojo, isn't it?
No, because he technically, because he's kind of watching you then, he's talking to you.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Helping you go through, like, his whole lab or, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like, that is kind of, like, the majority of last we see. So, again, the Whispers interfere to keep kind of things on the original track.
Yes.
Hojo was about to explain something that Cloud doesn't know at this point in the original.
And this is the one where it was actually Hojo does, because Hojo would recognize him. He's been experimenting on him for 5 years.
Yeah. Granted, he might be that was crazy evil genius where he doesn't remember faces, but like
that long ago. Like they haven't really given us a timeline, but Cloud escaping. Okay, now I'm jumping way off, but like in the original. But Cloud escaping with Zack from being experimented on.
Yeah.
And then Zack taking him and getting back to Midgar is not that long of a trip. We know that from Crisis Core.
Right.
Right? Like,
so he would be aware that like, these experiments broke out.
Yeah.
Would maybe you remember?
Like it's not like, that was like 5 years ago. I forgot. Like, no, this is within like probably 6 months at most.
Something, right?
Of a time frame from when Cloud broke out from him being studied to now finding him again. He would be like a second of no, and then he'd be like, wait a minute, no.
And we do.
Here's the experiment. And we know though that Hojo isn't the most like
personal.
Yeah,
like he probably wouldn't remember
He's
faces.
just always another one of my subjects.
It is just an experiment.
So it wouldn't click right away, but then it would be like, wait a minute.
I think if you know everything, if you played the original, Cloud is basically patient 0 for the latest experiment, whatever this all is, right?
Yeah.
So again, he may not remember faces, but he probably remembers this whole experiment.
I forget what they say
of like Sephiroth's cells, because I think
is that what it is? It's not necessarily just infusing Mako.
Yeah,
they did what they did with Sephiroth, but like after now,
it's trying to like recreate Sephiroth, because from Shinra and Hojo's perspective, they just lost Sephiroth.
That's right.
So I think that's what Cloud and Zack being experimented on are trying to like recreate a Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Again, if you know Crisis Core, you know they've also lost Angeo.
That's right.
And
that makes
Genesis.
so much more sense than
So now they're trying to recreate one of those guys, I feel like.
Because Zack has already been exposed to the Mako treatment
So it says
soldier.
He refuses it.
So yeah, he doesn't.
Cloud basically almost accepts it too well and goes like catatonic.
Yeah.
So again,
almost dies.
Again,
it's like,
for jumping around a tangent here,
right.
But I believe Cloud then is number 1 for that experiment, and that going forward, the dark-robed, tattoo-numbered guys are those same experiments that have failed. That's why...
Which we would have seen these, we kind of skipped over them, but we've seen 2 of them so far.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2 was his
neighbor? Right, yeah. So I believe that is the case, because if you know the original, all of those numbers,
what we talk about next.
All of those numbers are like the reunion, like they're trying to get back to Sephiroth and Genova. They have Sephiroth or Genova cells. You know, Cloud does, so that's where I think he is number 1 on the experiment, but was failed.
That makes so much sense.
Hojo went on and kept trying.
Yes.
And they're all failed.
Yeah.
So he like releases them in the world, whatever.
He had Sephiroth cells stored.
Basically, what we're getting at this whole full circle thing was, I believe Hojo would remember that experiment.
Yes.
Maybe not even Cloud's
It might not
face,
be immediately, but yes, that's
but
where
he
it was
would
like,
remember.
oh, wait a minute. No, I recognize you.
And
it makes sense that he would do that, where in the original he didn't, but this is like, oh, yeah, he would know.
Yeah.
Right? 5 years of experience. And the thing though is he thought he was a failed experiment.
Yes.
Because Cloud didn't show anything at first, he just became like, it almost seemed brain dead.
Yeah.
Like they thought he
was, right?
Yeah, they
so
thought
like,
he was basically
failed.
brain dead. And it wasn't until like after they broke out, and then slowly it took that whole trip, and slowly then Cloud starts to come to and come back to life almost. Like
right.
It was almost like the Sephiroth cells took over too much, and they were continuously trying to take over, and then like it took him to get out of that.
Yeah.
For then his brain to finally like fight him off enough, but like almost fuse with him, because that's what I think all these headaches and the like Genova's in his head.
Yeah.
And the Sephiroth cells, which are essentially Genova. Later, but from Crisis Core.
Yes.
Oh, I've never thought of it that way though. I forgot too that like Zack already had Mako treatment, so yeah, he
was
kind
like
of resisted,
strong enough to resist.
That's why he wasn't so mentally broken afterwards, and he was able to just get out, and he's still strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
Where Cloud was then like absorbed it too. It's like if your body's a sponge to these things, and like Zack's already was full of Mako, so he couldn't absorb anything else.
Used one, yeah.
But Cloud's was like a sponge and just soaked it all up immediately.
Too much more, yeah.
That makes so much sense.
So
it goes right into
basically he's about to spill the beans to Cloud, which again is something he shouldn't know, according to the original timeline. So then the Whispers like take him away, and then you pretty much the next thing you do then.
That's where it's different, because you don't get captured.
Yes, this is one of those things. You don't do the classic part where you get captured in the original and the trail of blood. And then you go and find like
which I was a little bummed about, because that moment, that whole at the night, and then you wake up and then the music is different.
Yeah.
And you see the blood trail everywhere. I was waiting for that scene. It didn't have that same impact this time around.
Correct. So also then like after that Hojo part, he gets taken away. Cloud like starts to sense Genova, has one of his like episodes, right?
Yeah.
Passes out, so they kind of retreat, get it together.
Oh yeah, you go into Aerith.
So you learn a little bit more about Aerith, what she is, and why Shinra's after her. And then Red 13, this is where he explains what the Whispers are.
Yes, that's where you learn that they're Whispers.
Weirdly, he's like, I learned this when Aerith like touched me. I like gained this knowledge. Something weird. So again, it kind of ties in. We were talking about with Aerith and Marlene earlier. Lets them hear what she hears. Because he heard the planet, which is the Whispers are the manifestation of the planet's will.
Yeah, and I think for some reason I don't get Marlene, but I do get Red 13. you'll learn in Rebirth most likely, because we learned in the original.
And this is, yes,
that
you
his
know about his
species
character a
is
bit more.
also another one that has been very
in tune with
in tune with the planet as well.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. And I don't know why Marlene. I wonder if they're going to elaborate on who her mom actually is, because they really never talk at all about her mom. So I wonder if her mom actually is another ancient
relative of Aerith's.
I wonder if
she's
actually half ancient or something.
Part Red 13?
Yeah.
What?
She's not half black, but she's half dog. She may not look it.
Okay, now we're going way off the rip.
What is that?
That's hilarious.
but anyhow, yeah, that's another good point I forgot about that. And he was like, yeah, okay, I somehow now know about these whispers.
So again, it would make sense, like, if Aerith almost explained that, she would know because she can, like, talk to the planet, but, like, she doesn't even really explain what they are. Almost gives you the feeling she kind of also doesn't know either what these whispers are. Entirely. I'm still confused because it made it seem when she ran into Cloud in the very beginning they first meet, that was her first time seeing whispers.
Yes.
And then now going forward, it almost makes it seem like she has seen them like her whole life. Like, I feel like it's showing flashbacks of her at the Shinra building as a kid. And it's, I don't know, it just all of a sudden makes it seem she's known these and seen these like her life.
Yeah.
So again, why doesn't she explain and know what they are?
Yeah.
Red 13 does.
She knows something.
She knows. So then you kind of backtrack to where you were. You know, you get out of the room. You're gonna like escape from a chopper. On top of the roof. Avalanche is helping you out.
So then we do, after a couple floors,
you get back to like where Hojo went up the elevator. You go up there. And I think right before when Cloud, like before he passes out, is the first time you actually hear Genova. I think he kind of says it as he like passes out. He's like,
"Oh, that's right." Because we haven't seen.
Right?
I don't think we saw it yet. Because you see. Doesn't he still do it though? You see her in the test tube.
I think in the headache flash.
Right,
I think
before he falls
visualizes
out,
her.
Doesn't he see her though?
I think so. That's what I'm saying. Like in his headache, right?
I thought like they're in the room.
Oh no, because I think
Genova is
not because then they go up the elevator, and then that's when they see Genova.
Oh, okay. Just literally, it's like the 2 weeks ago. I don't.
But it's like this part is where it just these statistics get like a little crazy. So then you go up that elevator, and this again it makes sense. In the original, you see Genova in like a little pod. Thank you. On your way before you confront Hojo. Mm-hmm. Now this makes sense. It's like an entire floor dedicated to Genova.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? Like like they even
it's more
explain.
obvious.
You're like,
that's what
you're like, Cloud and them are like, what is this? Red 13's like, this is like Shinra's top secret, like biggest secret. Like this is, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like the heart of Shinra. Like this is what they're all about.
Yeah.
Is hiding this.
This is behind everything. Basically.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know if you get much of an explanation on Genova here.
No.
I think very.
No, I don't think anything at all.
Well, especially so right now. So you just get. So you're seeing whatever this thing is. This headless corpse alien. They did a great job of it. Like she looks scaly, but like alien skin too.
Yeah.
Right.
Like multiple different types of body.
I feel like you can make out. There's a thing that kind of comes from the back of her. And it's a little. But what I'm getting at is I think she has wings.
Yeah.
I think this is where the wings, the black and white, the one-winged, comes from. Mm-hmm. Is that she actually? It almost seems like something like that on her back, like could be wings.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Sephiroth comes down, doing his classic floating down thing, and now you're like, oh, okay, Cloud's having visions again, right? Everybody else sees him.
Oh.
They all comment like, ooh, like, what are you doing? Like, you see that? And then Cloud charges at him, and he, like, knocks you down.
Is this, though, when you're at the top?
So this is what, you're, like, right in front of Genova.
Why did I remember this?
So this is why then you go do Hojo's whole lab level is because Sephiroth knocks
and he knocks
you
you down. You fall to the bottom like 2 floors. Yeah, and then you get separated. That's right.
This part again, like I felt like it made sense, but it was a little longer than it needed to be. And I feel like they should have
making up for how you went through the Shinra building earlier.
Yeah.
And like skipped a lot of that stuff, and then now it was like, well, we'll add it here.
Yeah, because I feel
this whole Shinra building is where they got really weird on Remake. Like once you enter Shinra building on is like totally different from the original.
Yeah, it starts to really change it up.
It's kind of like the same in a way, but like totally different.
We're gonna put beforehand.
Same destination.
Yeah.
How you get there is different.
Beforehand, it's like they're just adding things.
Yes.
They're not really changing anything. Like that first mission to go bomb the reactor, like spot on.
Yes.
Oh, well now you go and explore the slums and do some side quests. Yeah, like that's expected. This is how we went through Shinra building in the original. We do not do that.
Yeah, at all. Yeah.
So it's like, oh.
That's where I think a lot of people started getting.
It's not like they just.
Because they were like,
it's not just they added Hojo's lab, that level, that chapter.
Yeah.
It was still. It was all different.
Is not how we did it.
But again, I feel like here they could have almost just had you get captured. Like you remember in the original, the scene you go in the elevator and Rude's like up.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually the first time you see Rude in the original.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like they could have had that part. Like you see Genova, and then 100 troops surround you, and one of the Turks is like, we got you. And then you could go instead of. I guess it would be a little bit more boring. You wouldn't have a whole chapter level like a dungeon.
Well, they could have done it that then you were in your prison,
and then when you get out,
and then you get let out.
Yeah.
By Genova, Sephiroth.
Yeah.
And then to make your way back up, then you go through
Hojo's. That's what it should have. Yeah.
Right. So you still would have had the blood trail, and you would have been following the blood trail the whole way.
Because that's a very iconic part. That being captured part, right?
Because that's the whole night scene.
Was in there. Yeah.
It's just the way they did. I don't know why they had to change it so much. So maybe some of these things culminating in Rebirth will,
in a little bit different way.
Explain a little bit more why it had to be different.
Yeah. So you're making your way through Hojo's lab. He's kind of dicking you around, a little bit. You eventually make your way back up to where Genova was. And this is where you see the blood trail
is different now.
It's luminescent purple.
Yes.
And bubbling. Feels like
fiery
alive.
Bubbling. Yeah. It's really weird and gross.
And the body of Genova is gone. Yes. And I think throughout that little section, Red 13 has kind of filled you in a little bit about Genova. Just a little bit about, I don't even know if he says what Genova is an ancient, and, so they're doing experiments, with that. I don't know if he really explains that. He just does a little bit of, something from thousands of years ago that they've discovered.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we get a whole lot on Genova at this point.
You get just a little bit to be what the fuck is this thing?
What is Genova?
This is a weird thing. Okay.
We're still more so on Sephiroth.
Yeah, you're more on Sephiroth being back. Yeah, and being like, what? Following that blood trail, go up to the president, who you're expecting, if you've played the original, to already be dead, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's hanging off the side. Yeah. Which is, that part's so funny because Barrett almost drops him.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I do like this better.
Yeah.
And I will say, and listening to
fleshing out Final Fantasy... President Shinra a bit more.
Yes. Yeah, because Final Fantasy Weekly was talking about it, and they were like, I hated this part in the original because it was I felt robbed. Your whole point up to this...
Yeah.
The whole game up to this point was hating President Shinra.
Hating this guy.
And then you get there, and there's no confrontation, he's already dead.
Absolutely.
Which is why I hated 15, because that was the exact same thing. The whole story was built up to...
You get the little bit, as you got captured. Weird side note, I'm assuming that's his last name. I don't know if we technically know his first name. Is his first name Shinra? But no, it's not, because they say Rufus Shinra. We know it's Shinra's his last name. I feel like I read this somewhere. I don't think we know his name, which is kind of...
But his president, his first name's President.
Yeah, no, his first name's Agent, yeah. I think that's from Avengers or something. Anyways, so... Yes, so President Shinra have a little bit more of a confrontation. Barrett's you're going to tell people what you did. You dropped the plate. We didn't. Wu Tai didn't do it. Like, you killed these people. And it's kind of funny, just like, then he pulls like a gun on Barrett, and you're like, oh, come on, you should have just shot his ass. Like,
yeah.
Out of nowhere. You see a giant sword just stick through President Shinra.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's what we kind of see in the original. We just see the sword through him. That's how you find him. So, like, that does happen. Sephiroth appears again. And a little different here. He stabs Barrett through.
Yeah.
So now you're like, whoa, what is happening?
What?
Now the whispers, I think, really start appearing. They're circling around the whole building. And then they swoop in and like heal Barrett. Up until this point, they have like been a hindrance, like we were saying earlier. They've been kind of harming you, hurting you, just holding you back.
Yeah, it seemed like stopping you from trying to do what you were trying to do.
Yes. This time is like full-blown, like saving you. Literally.
Yes.
Saving Barrett. Okay, I gotta go after Sephiroth.
Mm-hmm.
And again, everybody's...
I think this is when we fight Genova.
I think before
then
Barrett gets knocked down, you know.
No, when Barrett
gets stabbed,
and then we fight Genova.
Because that's why
that's
you don't...
we were like, he gets stabbed because you have 4 party members and they never had a way for you to
choose your party. Yes.
Yeah. So it was like, we got to do something to make Barrett...
in the original, here you get Red 13, so this is like your real first, like, choose your party time. So they changed that. Like, you have Tifa and Aerith in your party because Barrett gets taken out.
Yeah.
So, like, as he's dying, getting healed up, Sephiroth, it kind of, like, appears... He, like... turns into like Genova, and then all of a sudden you're kind of in like a different area.
Yeah.
Reading the like lore of like that Genova, it kind of explains like it induces hallucinations. So like what I took that as is like, you're not in like a different area. You didn't get like transported. It's just making you like see this. Genova is making you see that thing that's like you're fighting. You know, it's effing with your brain right now.
And we learned in way later in the original, and I've learned from other books and outside sources that Genova is a shapeshifter.
So this isn't really...
It's not really
elaborated.
And you just kind of have to like gather
curious
that,
if they
like,
will now explain it, but yeah, like you've told me now through like the Ultimania books, a little bit more background information story.
She was a shape-shifting alien from a calamity from the skies.
That's also like,
but she could
a hive mind in the sense of like a cell is like
cell can like regenerate, and all of it is like in the same mind. So that's when we say like Cloud had the Genova cells and Sephiroth had the Genova cells, and it's able to mess with Cloud's mind like that. And so that's maybe some way of how Genova's also messing with everybody's minds, seeing the hallucinations.
So yeah, you mixing in the shape-shifting with the mind control, and it's just it's just mind-fucking you, basically. Like, is what Genova is.
Fucking crazy.
So after you beat that, it sneaks in a little subtle Genova theme. Very excited for that going forward. Oh my gosh, some of this music themes looking forward to in Rebirth. Oh my gosh. After you beat that Genova, you see it turn into one of those dark-robed, tattooed, numbered guys. And I believe it was 49 who you saw earlier with, like, you're helping out, like, the kids in the slums. And he, like, appears. Anyways, so, like, I know your theory, which almost seems more than a theory. Again, we're talking about this. You learn how you've learned more about Genova through like the books and everything. You know, the original you're chasing Sephiroth the whole time. That Sephiroth is actually Genova, right?
Yes. It's these guys, these numbered experiments, and then the Genova cells in them are shape-shifting into Sephiroth. And so you're not actually the original Sephiroth.
Correct.
Actually did die when Cloud killed him in the Nibelheim incident, which you played, you know.
Right.
Get into, it's probably going to be the first thing that we get into in Rebirth. It's Might have even been the demo. I don't know what the demo was, but
Right, I was trying to think of that too, yeah.
I don't know what we played in the demo, but it's probably the first thing you go over in the Nibelheim incident. But that's Sephiroth. That was Sephiroth dead.
Mm-hmm.
But his cells that are mixed with Genova cells.
Yeah.
And they had them, and then that's all these experiments that you were talking about. They
Yep.
were all mixed with Sephiroth, who has Genova cells in them, so they're all like a hive mind. They all can shapeshift then, in a way.
Because they have Genova
Genova's
cells.
taking over that body and
Yes.
transforming them into Sephiroth, because Sephiroth was the greatest being. So I don't know, though, if that like gained Sephiroth's powers, what he was.
Or it's just Genova,
Or it's
like,
just
mimicking it.
Yeah, I think
right?
Genova's just doing it to fuck with Cloud.
Yeah.
Is why it's always Sephiroth. And everybody knows who Sephiroth was and is scared of him. And so I think it's just more of a mind fuck for everybody to like... Genova's
and I feel like a little bit of like...
Because that's when she transforms then into those creepy creatures then at times too. Just like,
Yeah.
She's different forms because it's just whatever, scary things for you, terrify you.
So I believe that's what I thought in the original, was like what you're chasing, wasn't actually Sephiroth. It was one of these tattooed numbered guys, and Genova is like transforming it in shapeshifting into the Sephiroth, and then also like transforming into the Genova. Your like theory, I think, is a little bit more of that Sephiroth we're chasing, that clone, is Genova's body, actually.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, playing the original, like with that context, changes a whole lot. Mm-hmm. Again, it's so much like your
where
thing,
did that body go? We never
exactly
see that.
It almost seemed every time in the original you fought like a Genova thing, it was like a piece got left behind. So you're like just like leave the arm.
It was like a tentacle on the floor, and then
and
you fight this giant thing. So yeah,
it's like no. And so what we see after you fight the Genova is the tattooed numbered guy. Mm-hmm. So again, I think it's a little bit weight to that theory. That's like what it's Genova transforming these guys who have Genova cells into Genova's things that we fight.
Yeah.
You go then to chase Sephiroth. Cloud goes to chase Sephiroth outside, and he ends up like jumping from the building. And in that moment, Cloud like sees him, and he changes into a numbered guy, and you see the number 2, who again you've seen before.
That was your neighbor, I believe. Yeah.
So it takes away from that because he's carrying Genova's body still at this point. So we see the Genova we fight was a tattooed number guy, and the Sephiroth that everybody else sees that like is alive is another tattooed numbered guy. Changes that theory a little bit, that the Sephiroth we're chasing is like the physical body of Genova, but I believe that's still going to be true. Now going forward,
I wonder if
that
it's
is going
more
to be
of
true.
Like Genova's body then takes over their body, and that's how it shapeshifts. Not shapeshifts their body, but it like almost like an armor or like a venom, like a symbiote onto them.
I'm almost thinking Genova's a little
takes
Venom-like.
off, and then it goes in, and then it's back into like, oh, it's carrying his body. Right?
Yeah, because now I'm curious, because again, Sephiroth was carrying the body. In the original going forward, you never see like the body.
Yeah.
So in Rebirth, are we going to see a body of Genova still? If we don't, I'm thinking that dead body of Genova comes into contact with new like cells, kind of awakens, turns into Sephiroth, the guy that we're chasing, and then the other tattooed numbered guys are going to be the Genovas then.
Which that also goes into the theory if you watch having children, jumping ahead with Kadaj.
Yes.
When he then transforms it into, he takes like Genova's head and pushes it into him, and then he turns into Sephiroth.
Yes.
And then like gets defeated and then turns back into Kadaj. So it's like the Genova cells are what shapeshifts it. I don't know.
Yes, agreed.
Interesting stuff. Why I love this story so much. It's so awesome. It was just like it's confusing, but it's purposely confusing in a way that you're not supposed to understand. It's some alien thing, fantasy that you're not supposed to totally understand how this all works, because it's
so there's some
not supposed to.
Again, like in the books is explained a little bit more. So I'm curious if that is going to make its way into Rebirth and Part 3.
And they don't know. Like that's why they've been experimenting on this thing for 30 plus years or whatever, 40 years now. However old Sephiroth is, they've been when they found Genova for the first time, and Professor Gas found Jenova in North Crater, and they've been experimenting on her. So, and they still don't know all these things. That's why Hojo wants to keep experimenting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's why he wants. Yep.
What can these things totally do? But anyway, so
Sephiroth takes off. Then Cloud goes to fight Rufus.
Yeah, we get back onto a normal track here now. This is pretty much
follows the
original story. Bit, now we go back into pretty much the same. A little bit different scenes, but you're doing basically the same stuff.
Right, so now Rufus comes in to take over because the president... It's weird. He shows up right as the president dies. So it's like...
This is another thing, yeah.
Did he know the president was dead and came, or was he happening to...
Just coincidence?
Yeah, he was showing up regardless, and he just shows
I never
up dead.
thought about it until I was listening to Final Fantasy Weekly. I keep shouting these guys out.
Yeah.
I've been listening to these podcasts like crazy. They were talking about this too, and they were like, how did he know, whatever. And I had the thought, maybe he's the one that sent the guys in Unleashed Jenova to kill his dad. Like, maybe Rufus is the one who planned this whole thing.
The dark-robed tattoo number guys, like, lets them...
Maybe he was behind it. Like, he...
To try to,
to kill his dad so he would take over.
Yeah.
Because he's not remorseful whatsoever. Like,
absolutely.
Not he is whatsoever.
Yeah.
He was like, good, I'm glad he's dead because I'm going to rule this with fear and I'm going to
take over and we're going to go in a new direction now, right?
Yeah. Like, my dad's old way costs too much money and too much time to try and persuade these. I'm just going to rule with fear.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, and then the timing is way too coincidental that he shows up immediately after that Sephiroth leaves. So it's like, I think he might have had the plan that he told somebody or one of his followers or something.
The Turks or something.
Yeah, that they unleashed Jenova. They opened the cell for Jenova in that night.
Yeah.
And then that's when Jenova then was able to telepathically bring those guys, mind control them, clones back to her, and then she did the experiment and then killed
Sephiroth basically appears,
and then Rufus was like, Sephiroth's gone, okay, now it's safe to come in.
Yep.
Like, that makes a lot more sense.
That makes some sense, absolutely.
And they don't specifically say that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all just speculation.
Yeah.
But to me, that would make most sense. Like,
that could make sense.
So he can get ahead, and that would, like, somebody had to release Jenova.
Yeah.
Right? And you just like, kind of assume that those black caped guys are the ones that got there.
I think we kind of
but it doesn't
assume that, like, Hojo, I think, just lets the dark-robed guys out because he's the experiment of the reunion of, like, Jenova's cells returning to its host. That's what that, like, experiment is about. So
but
I think
it's also recreating, like you said, Sephiroth. And none of them are turning into Sephiroth. So he's using them, and then they're like, basically like how Cloud was, where he's just like brain dead. So he's like, they failed, throws them out. You know? Like they're throwing out experiments. Oh, they're all failed. They didn't turn into Sephiroth. Like I
don't think. Yeah, Hojo's thinking that. Oh, then one is going to like turn into Sephiroth and take Jenova. Like
he doesn't know that. So that's not until I think we'll find that out in like Coastal Soul, where he starts to figure that out. And he starts to go, the reunion, that's what this is. And he's like, wait, are you in the original? And he's like, are you getting pulled? Do you feel like you're getting pulled? He's like, no. And he's like, interesting. So I don't think, until this point, Hojo really thought that was a thing. And now he's starting to realize that all Jenova cells it's like a vacuum. They always want to become one again. So all the cells are trying to get back together at the main place of where Jenova's head is, which we learn later, is in the North Crater with the dead Sephiroth, which I don't really know how he got there. But anyhow, so we do our normal, you fight Rufus with just Cloud, which is a way cooler fight in this one.
Right, yeah.
But not too much different. The only difference was that Tifa runs back. Instead of joining with the other guys to go down, she's like, I'm going to go back for Cloud, right?
Yeah.
And then runs back up.
Saves Cloud.
So then you don't have her in the party when you fight the Heligunner or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And the only difference of that is that you don't fight him as you're going down an endless amount of floors.
Makes sense. Like you crash at the bottom and fight him there.
And then you fight him in
one
room.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
It makes so much more sense that he wouldn't even fit in an elevator, let alone
the time.
Yeah. You were 60 floors up. It is really going to take that long, like a 10-minute fight. Actually, it's a 20-minute fight. That's really the main differences. But then the same old, you end up at the bottom, and Cloud comes in with the motorcycle, and those guys found the truck. And
Yep.
bust out onto the
They
highway.
they make it like a little bit more badass. You know, he's taking
Yeah.
out a couple people.
Yeah.
Driving through the window, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a little ridiculous, but it's cool.
The music didn't hit me the same this time, though, I gotta say.
Like that part?
Yeah. The motorcycle music, they like did the remastered
It's-
version,
yeah.
and it wasn't quite the same.
I agree. The motorcycle music was a little different. Yeah.
They made it less techno-y,
Funky,
electronica,
yeah.
and more, rock-ish, I guess I would
Yeah.
say. More
Fitting.
More metal,
It does-
or more not metal, more like guitars,
Yeah.
as opposed to like. Techno, computer
beep
synth
boops.
noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for some reason, it just didn't hit as hard for me. It's still good. Still love it.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't quite.
Yeah.
But anyways, so you do that basically the same. You do the bike mini game, new
You break
revamped
out, right,
version
yeah.
of it. The main difference here, though, is instead of ending the game and then fighting the motorball boss,
Yeah.
you fight him as you're riding on the
Was
motorcycle.
it? Yeah.
Which was
That was
cool.
kind of
Made
fun,
sense.
like, a
and
boss on the
he's
bike,
not a
yeah.
great boss to end the a game on, so I get it where they change it.
Yeah.
But this is where we get bonkers.
This is
After
where the
this is
story
where
you
the
really
story
start scratching
goes,
your
like,
head now.
What is happening now? Because the original, obviously, you beat him and you jump off the highway at the ending of it, and you're out of town, and then it's like, what do we do next? And then you go off to Kong.
Yeah.
This is like, what is going on now? So this is what we really, the meat of what we wanted to get this whole 2 hours later.
absolutely.
Here.
2
This
hours
is
later is
really
what
what
we're
we wanted
getting
to
to.
talk about mostly, I think, right?
Yeah, like, so then after that, the boss fight, you come into, it's like really the whispers start just going like nuts now. They're like circling like the whole like city, it seems like.
Yeah,
I
all
think-
Shinra Tower gets completely circled, and then the whole like city becomes like a bubble.
Oh,
dome.
also, so along the way, like doing the motorcycle like mini game, they're like helping you. They have, like, there's a part where, like the helicopter comes and it's almost gonna crash into like the truck with everybody else,
Really?
and they like whispers like save them.
Oh,
There's a couple parts where they like save you,
to make sure you get through to the
get
end
through
of
the
it.
thing. So now you're like, we mentioned earlier, Barrett survives, like it heals.
Yeah,
The whispers
right,
heal
right.
you, right? Heal him. Then
Again, they're helping you. Yeah.
again, they're helping you now at this part, which is a little weird. But
Which
then
goes back to the theory of they're just trying to make, because every time it's trying to make it happen to what the original happened.
yeah, whether that's
You can't be
better
stopped here
or
because
worse.
it originally had to be there. Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it was good or bad the outcome, but it needs to happen that way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how
so
Destiny
then,
is.
I think, so you get to the end. I think Cloud like sees Sephiroth, so he like stops. Aerith says some like kind of cryptic shit again, and
Yes.
then like again like the whispers are like going nuts, and you're like, no, I think at this part the whispers are going nuts. Sephiroth, you see him again.
This is when it jumps to seeing Wedge in the tower.
Oh
He's
yeah,
in Shinra Tower. He was like trying to catch up with you guys,
So
and then all of a
Wedge is-
sudden the whispers just come and attack him and take him right out the window.
Wedge is still alive. Yep, and it doesn't technically show him dying.
Yeah.
It goes to black, and you hear like the whispers are pushing him out of like the building high up,
Yeah.
and you hear the windows break,
Yeah. But then.
but you don't
nothing.
see him dead. So
Yeah.
like, again, it just felt weird, like why they didn't kill off Wedge to then just
Why would
kill
you
him
do it?
later,
And just-
and then now like he's in Rebirth. So
Yeah.
a little weird with that. But I think at this part, you're like the end of the highway. You like see Sephiroth again, and the whispers are almost like closing you in, like they're kind of blocking the way out.
Yes.
Sephiroth like cuts through them, and like there's like a weird dimensional rift,
Oh, yeah.
portal, distortion thing, and it's like dark and scary and thundery, right? And then you kind of Cloudin goes to like follow him, and Aerith like stops and it's like no, like hold on. She does some magic mumbo jumbo to change it into like lighter, like this portal, this rift. It's not like angry, dark, purpley, stormy.
Yeah,
it's like this white,
like weird, like
heavenly, angelic like light. And she's like, if we go forward, there's no going back. Again, just saying some weird stuff. You're like, what do you know?
Yeah, and like, why are you saying this? And what is this? Yeah.
And what is this? First off, yes, like this part is just like, what is this?
She was like, there's no, there's not even like, oh, there's no going back. It was like, there's no changing this now.
Yeah.
We're going to, she says, I think,
she says
we're fighting
like
destiny.
She does say we're fighting like destiny.
And there's no going back to what it was if we do this.
Yeah.
If we go through this door, like, if we open this door to fight destiny, that's it. Like, is what she's getting at.
And I think Cloud's like, so why'd you stop me? And she was like, is like, kind of like, just to let you know, like, that's
that's what we're doing. We're
fighting destiny. She explains because she's like, because I don't know, everything going forward is like unknown then, or something basically.
Oh, that's right.
She's like, because we're like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Almost hinting at has known what's gonna happen.
And this is now
Sephiroth
is like, we're gonna go into a different world, and we're not gonna follow the path that we were in.
So exactly.
So he like cuts you into another portion of it or something.
Yeah, so Sephiroth is like, like flings away like the whispers, right? He like fights.
And which is like the whispers are like trying to keep you from going out now. It's like you're not supposed to chase him or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's supposed to
but again, it's like he's like strong enough to like fight fate, fight destiny. He like cuts through them.
Yeah.
Also, again, is this we know that Sephiroth is like Jenova. You know, again, I mean, so it's Jenova and Jenova Sephiroth seems to be reacting with these whispers. Like, they really seem to be like following him as well.
Yes.
And again, he cuts through them. So now you're like, is Jenova Sephiroth trying to change destiny?
Yeah.
Because you've been hinting at this whole time. It seems Aerith's the center. Now all of a sudden we're like, it kind of has me questioning, wait, is Jenova the thing that is changing things?
Yeah, or is Jenova controlling them even?
Yeah. So a little like weird like there, and the party finally goes through the portal.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you come across Midgar, but it seems like all quiet. There's no whispers flying around.
Yes. Oh yeah, it does the like zoomed out shot, almost like beginning of Having Children line. Right?
Yeah.
From like a desert.
And then so now you're like, I started thinking, is this a second Midgar? Are we in a different Midgar
like,
now?
Because it went from dark, it was dark, and a big old dome over it, and then you see it, and now it's like bright, right?
Yeah, because again, like the whispers were completely
no, that's right. You're
Midgar,
inside. No, never mind.
Right?
Yeah, before you're still in that same looking Midgar, but yeah, now it's just the whispers are gone.
And then so you're kind of like, is this
I'm jumping ahead.
Right, like you made it through that portal, right? So now you're like, is this the second Midgar?
Yeah, you're
is
like,
this an alternate Midgar?
Yeah.
And then they accumulate into like a giant thing, giant whisper.
Yeah.
Go through this whole thing. You take it down. Long story short, this culmination of all these whispers of this arbiter of fate, keep destiny on track. You beat that. So now going forward,
did we defy destiny?
Destiny?
Are we able to now change them? Are they going to be in Rebirth?
That's now
or
a big question.
Or did we kill now these whispers? And so now it's everything that happens that changes now is now we don't have fate trying to guide us
on
into
the same
what
line.
that same path is. Or are they going to still be there?
Yes. Or are they going to be there still trying to guide you? If we asked them, and now like Aerith was kind of saying, like, there is not destiny keeping us on track now. It is for better or for worse.
Which also makes me go to that believing that it was like she knows what the story is. She's already lived through it. Like she knows what the story is supposed to be. And then now she's like, this is scary because now I don't know. If we do this, we jumped into a different destiny line. Maybe not even timeline, maybe not even universe. It's like a different destiny line. You know? And no longer have destiny guiding us to where it was supposed to happen or it did happen. Now now it's a whole new.
And this is where I almost find it weird that she like doesn't want to try to change fate or destiny, because if she knows what's going to happen, if you know the original spoiler alerts, it all does work out, right? But then that's what you might be getting at. It might maybe not actually technically work out.
Maybe that wasn't.
But again, if that is the case, she should be like, yes, we have to change this and win. But she's scared. She's hesitant to change it. Yeah. But it's kind of like, why don't you want to change it and save yourself? Yeah. She should be like, let's fight destiny and change it. But
maybe
I think that's
it could be worse.
I think that's why. She is afraid.
If I don't die, do I do holy and then... No, maybe we screw up and Meteor does destroy the whole planet. Yeah. Even Sephiroth completely wins.
Right, so maybe she is like, no,
we're at the half full right now of what Destiny happened, but
it's not great.
Can we try to make it full, or we could fail and we can lose it all?
Completely, yeah. So I feel like that's where she's getting at, is like, it's scary to change it. I don't know, like, we might make it worse. Yeah. So after you beat the giant whisper thing, and now I'm blanking, you go and fight Sephiroth. But if I'm blanking on, because what happens, we'll just go. After that thing, you beat that thing, Sephiroth like appears. And I then had a thought the second time playing through, is this that Sephiroth that we just saw jumping off of the building and escaping with Genova's body? Or we have just done this weird thing with the Whispers? Is this the Whispers manifesting Sephiroth? And are like, hey, if you can't beat like our version of him, like we're not gonna let you free. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm getting at? It just felt like you just fought these fate things, the Whispers, and then they fight Sephiroth.
And Sephiroth, yeah.
And you're like, okay, is this the same Sephiroth, or is this like just another like Whisper version of him?
I'm starting to think more that Sephiroth was, or Genova was the one actually, like, controlling them. And so then he was trying to use them to stop us. Yeah. Like, once we went through that portal, then it was like, he was trying to kill us there or something, you know, trying to stop us when we keep defying the fate, and then he was trying to stop us again. Like, I don't know. This is where, like we said, this is where it gets really weird, and we hope we get some answers. And
and then it kind of like foreshadows the ending. Again, he like summons like Meteor, but he like absorbs it. Like, it's like a little weird. But anyways, it's like you're fighting in like a destroyed Midgar now. You're fighting Sephiroth, and again, it's after you beat Sephiroth, it totally foreshadows the like final fight of a 7, of where you like the one-on-one with Sephiroth. He's got the shirt off, and you basically just do Omni Slash and kill him. It does the exact same weird tunnel thing, like you flow through, and then it's again, it just gets even more crazy because all of a sudden you're like literally in outer space. It looks like, and you're just in this like little platform, Final Destination looking thing. Quick scene one-on-one with Sephiroth, and he's even like says like we're at the edge of creation, something about like 7 seconds left, and you're just like, okay, this is clearly like a nod to the end of 7, but like, why are you giving it to me now? And what that fight is in 7 is, I think it's supposed to be Sephiroth's last-ditch effort to have a grip, Sephiroth or Genova, as we know, last-ditch effort to have any grip on Cloud, his mind, his consciousness, like his soul, and that's Cloud killing that off completely.
It's Cloud killing the Sephiroth cells within him, I think is
where I feel like being a little bit younger, you're like, no, this is him like jumping into the life stream and like killing a physical embodiment of Sephiroth in the life stream.
I think that last fight could be, but I
still
think
be it.
More I've listened
in the
to
mind.
and played it. I think it's more of Cloud is like fighting off Sephiroth's cells in his body.
Yeah. So that's what's happening now at the end of Remake? Is this Genova, Sephiroth trying to kind of gain control of Cloud? Like, you just beat Destiny now, and so it's kind of like, oh, now I'm going to control you and do whatever I want. And you still were able to like fight it off a little bit, and it's still like, it still didn't happen.
Yeah, it's...
But it just... There's just one too many things that had you scratch your head right at the end, right back to back. You're like, what are these whisper things? This portal we went through, Sephiroth, this last little scene with fighting him, where are we? And then
it gives you even more questions.
Then it's just, now I think they're fucking with you at this point, because
like,
they are trying to hurt your brain.
At this point, you're kind of like, okay, we can assume it's a different dimension, right?
Yeah.
Different sort of dimension or fate or whatever. Now they throw another wrench in there because it zooms
it's like after the fight, there's like, you kind of come back to the whole party, and there's like an explosion.
Yes.
And it starts showing this light shine down on Midgar, and we start to see other people, like we see the people in the slums. So like they're all seeing what just happened.
Yes.
Which I'm taking it as, and again, there's no whispers anymore. There's just like this, so it seems like the whispers disappeared, this light is like shining down, everybody's seeing this. Shows Cloud and the party, right, like leaving Midgar. Like they are outside of Midgar now.
Yes.
And I think a little bit before, somewhere in that fight, the last boss fight or two, it gives you a scene of Zack.
Yeah, this is what I was wondering. Yeah.
So if you know the ending of Crisis Core, all of a sudden it's showing the ending of Crisis Core.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, wait a minute.
That
was before the beginning of the game.
Yep.
And then
this is another game.
Then
this isn't the story we have yet here.
And then it's even more confusing because it's like, oh, maybe they're just showing like this is how it started.
Cloud's history, they're giving it to you a little bit earlier.
Up from looking like he was dead, and looks out at Midgar and sees that same thing that we were just seeing, where it's the
and then
dome
it
like,
shows all like the army, like he's like, oh, I beat them, or something.
Yeah.
And then he sees that explosion.
Yeah. It's like he did die and then wakes up and he's like, wait, I'm actually alive. And then the explosion. So you're like, wait, no, this isn't then the beginning. But so then it shows him carrying Cloud, doesn't it? Or
yes, it shows. Yeah, so he has Buster's sword and he's carrying Cloud
towards Midgar. That we just like.
So what? I was like, maybe it's showing you what happened, right?
Yeah.
That, oh, it's not currently going on side by side. This is the history, and this is how Cloud survived. And oh, hey, yeah, Zack is going to be alive. Zack sees the explosion happen.
Yeah. So it's like somehow
it's happening at the same time.
There has to be a multiple timeline now. Right?
Now we're talking. This is where we're talking about different timeline.
Yes. So now are we multiple dimension and multiple timeline, or did we go back in time into a Midgar? Are we jumping forward in fighting the final boss?
Yeah.
Sephiroth, and then jumping back again? Are we like just in all sorts of time?
Yeah.
Like what the fuck is happening?
And then our theory of, is this a second Midgar? Is this a parallel world? Is this another dimension? Like it shows Zack walking to Midgar with Cloud, and Cloud and company like passing him, but they don't see each other.
Oh, that's right.
So then that's where now I'm starting to think, when you step through that portal and you come into that other Midgar and there's no whispers anymore, is that the original timeline? We just jumped to that one and we're in that one now. There's no whispers. It's going to kind of follow the original a little bit more.
Yeah.
Zack is in the one we left behind,
and we just fucked up because we
just killed totally and it's because now fate is gone, destiny's gone. It's been different as we've seen, and
I have another theory as well, and this came in then when we started seeing trailers.
Yeah.
And then, like you said before too, then at some point here you see then Biggs is
in the bed.
Yeah, in
so
the bed.
We do see that Biggs is alive.
Wait, is Biggs alive?
Wow.
But then there's trailers then that came out and saw these ones. This was a while ago now.
Really starts.
But now it shows, and it was like everything was falling, and it looked like Tifa was getting pulled out from like rubble. It looked like she was basically dead, and you see like it looks like everybody was like dead.
Yeah.
And then it shows like Biggs, and he's got like X's, and it's like everybody.
The avalanche.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like dead, and he was like, "Why am I the one that survived?" And it looked like he was talking to Zack. And so I'm having another.
You see the like Barrett, Tifa, like their pictures like crossed out.
Yeah.
Like it looks like everybody's dead except Biggs, who's talking to Zack.
Yes.
clearly different.
Yes.
Right? So it's like...
So is it a different timeline? Or, I have another theory. I don't think this one's necessarily true, but maybe it's another theory. They're in a death realm. The ones that died. Now, this is like a different dimension or something, or this is
this should be all the people that are dead.
All the people that are dead are alive in this one, and all the people that were alive now they all died. So now in Zach's world, he's in the alternate where everybody's flip-flopped. So everybody that died in the original is now alive in his world, and then we get to like simultaneously maybe be Zach going through.
Could be something kind of like
trying to like figure it out.
You're actually in the live stream or something, right?
It's just is it an alternate dimension, or is it they're simultaneously happening, overlapping, and like he's actually dead in that same world?
Yeah,
but he's like the live stream version, so that's why they didn't see each other when they walked past. Like,
yeah,
is that actually what's going on, or is this? Yeah, that's the alternate dimension, and this is the one where everything's flip-flopped. Everybody who stayed alive is now dead. Yeah.
Okay. That could be.
Right?
Because that is like that.
Biggs was like the almost for sure one that was dead. Right?
Yep.
Then, I guess, did we see, though, that was the one thing I didn't look at it close enough to look and see if Jesse was it. But he did say something of like, why am I the only one that lived?
Yeah.
So,
and again, like we're talking about...
where it throws it off a little bit, because then Jesse would have to be alive.
And it's like...
Right, you would think.
And then
Wedge is we still don't know.
And then it was like, was she? Because he looks like you see her in like a clip. But again, it could be the flashback of like gold saucers. Yeah. So like...
It's like, what is happening? And then you see the one where Zach is like holding or like sitting by the bed of Aerith, who's like laying in bed.
Oh, you did see that?
Yeah.
I think that one. I peeked on like 10 seconds of the state of play, and I saw like that part, and I was like, nope.
That was in one of the trailers, though.
Oh,
so I didn't see the state of play, but that was in one of the old trailers. Like it was like a real quick, like she's laying in
like
bed.
Aerith's body.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it looked like she was like hurt or dead or something, and he's like talking to her, or like she didn't know he was there. Like, I don't know, weird. So, yeah, that is.
So that is. Oh, so that's the ending of Remake. If you played Intergrade and got got Yuffie's mission and beat that, couple other things. Basically, to summarize, Deep Ground makes an appearance. Nero and Weiss.
Yeah, I think it's Weiss, but the like Weiss.
They say it a bit different.
I don't know. You can never say.
If you play Dirge Cerberus, you recognize these characters. They make an appearance at the end of Yuffie's mission.
Which is funny because, Dirge Cerberus was supposed to be 3 years after the ending of this.
Yeah.
So then these characters, it's like,
they're appearing earlier.
Yes.
Tying into the whole changing the original timeline thing, like, again, maybe.
But in a way that how they did this, it's like, well, we never met Yuffie until after this point in the original.
Yeah.
So she very well, all of the Intergrade could have happened in the original.
Totally.
Actually,
yep.
Like it never was specified, never talked about. Yuffie never talked about what she was doing beforehand when we met her.
Yep.
She very well could have been on a mission in Midgar looking for materia with
Sonon.
So that's
Is that what it is?
Something like that. Yeah.
Sonon, something similar. Yeah.
Because then they, do the obvious. They kill him off. And spoilers. So. And then she's like following which that was my one last note I had was like, so now do we get her earlier in Rebirth? Is she
you could run into her in Calm.
Yeah, are we gonna run
into
her like,
almost
immediately? Like she tries to steal her stuff in Calm instead of all the way in a random forest.
Yeah,
is she right outside of Midgar trying to find? I
don't think she's gonna be optional.
Because she does know she was supposed to look. She was looking for Avalanche. Like the whole right, she was working with Avalanche at the time. So, like, I don't know if she hears then, she's known heard the names of Barrett and Tifa, I think, or known the gun arm one, right?
Yeah,
like knows that you guys are doing.
Could maybe
your
hear
cell
that
is doing stuff. So
she probably could hear about there was something that happened after her. You know what I mean? There's some other people invading Shinra building, and they escaped. Shinra's looking for these people.
Yeah, and then
who escaped
because her ending, she's like standing at the top part, right? Like looking out, right?
Yeah, her mission ends basically as the plate falls. She escapes the building after Sonon dies, and like literally sees the plate fall. and is like, what the hell?
Yeah, so
And
then
the
maybe
next
she
thing we
just gets the hell out of there.
So then the next thing we see is her on a chocobo outside of Midgar. So she should be ahead of the party. Because she would technically... Because then you have to do the whole...
yeah, there was a lot.
Shinra building.
Yeah.
Side note here. I explained this to you. I think that whole part... So from... Cloud falling...
Oh, yeah. It was like an entire night.
Cloud meets Aerith. That night, he's trying to sneak out...
Yeah.
To get back to the slums. And then you do Wall Market. And then the plate falls. And then you go to Shinra Building. In the original, it makes it seem like that's the same night.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, I think it's a little hard because it's like Midgar's always night, basically.
Yes.
But, like, when you go to Shinra Building, it's dark out.
Yeah.
And all of Wall Market, it makes it seem like it's still dark out.
Yeah.
And Cloud snuck out of Aerith's place at night. So it's all of that
Yeah, I was like
in one day.
Night. Yeah.
I think it kind of fixes that a little bit in Remake. Like, it's like you like spend... Like, again, you go back to the Sector 7 slums. You, like, spend the night at Aerith's place.
Yeah, and then
It
I think
is
you
a day
do...
or
I think
two.
when you go into Aerith's apartment there, or whatever, in Remake
Her
2,
room.
Her room. It almost
In
seems like
Shinra Building.
Yeah, it seems like you spent the night.
So I think
But
it
you
is.
do, I guess, when you get captured, you spend the night there, too.
Oh, okay. So good point. Yeah.
It would be like the next morning or whatever.
Yeah, I think it is more just it's always night in Midgar.
Yeah.
But
it seems like a very quick amount
Very
of time.
much.
Not very long passing of time.
So what I was going to get at is that could be the same night. The plate falls and they do their whole thing and go after
So yeah, Yuffie
Yuffie.
could only have like... She probably only has like a day ahead of us. or
Ahead of them,
something,
yeah.
right? So yeah, she probably... If she stopped at Calm... Heads to Calm and stops at Calm and...
Because again, I
meet
don't
her
think
there.
she's optional. Like I think it's going to be something you
Yeah.
run into her and get her. She's not going to be a random encounter.
No. I'd be amazed if they made any characters optional. So
It'd be
made
the other
Yuffie
one.
or Vincent
They
optional.
can't. Like you
They're
have
too-
her mission. Like she's not optional. We played her.
Yeah.
Like,
You made a game of Vincent
made a game.
afterwards. Like they're not optional.
they're not
Everybody knows.
anymore. Yeah.
There's no reason to.
So then you
Yeah,
see.
So I have a lot of...
So, Tears of Deep Ground is going to make an appearance in Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yuffie,
Or are they going to wait until...
yeah.
Yeah, I'm real curious. Are we going to end up going back to Midgar at some point? Is that going to be a change in it?
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, when we're searching for the key or something, you can actually go back to Midgar and look for the key or something, sneak in there.
Yeah.
I know you're not supposed to in the original. You never can make it back there until Endgame.
Yeah.
But maybe they do some sort of thing where you step
Could be.
in there and change it. I'd probably be alright with it. And maybe
Yeah.
that's where you go and meet instead of Gold Saucer. Maybe you go back and
run
go
into
to
these
sectors
side
and
characters,
do some
yeah.
things. Or at a
That'd be
side note
fun,
where you're
right?
like,
Yeah.
we need to scour the world for this key, and then like
Midgar is probably the best place to know. Information. Like
Maybe Shinra has a clue on it, so maybe we can hide back there.
Black Market, Corneo, you go back there. Yep. That
Maybe
makes sense.
something like that.
So then you see another scene though. After Yuffie's mission with Cloud and company, and basically they're hitching a ride to Calm.
Tifa's teaching Aerith how to
Yeah,
hitchhike.
right. It's like I'd pull over for Tifa.
You see those two?
Yeah, right. And you know what's funny? I think they're riding.
There's a guy with
I think they're riding in the front.
Maybe not.
I think they're riding in the front, and then Cloud and Barrett are in the back. So this old guy takes the guys and the dog, puts them in the back, and hot chicks in the front. Oh, that's hilarious. Anyway, so like you see them on their way to Calm. They get like a ride. I feel like you almost see it like off in the distance. I feel like there was like a line or two they said I was gonna reference, but I forget. Basically, I am now curious where Rebirth is going to start.
Yeah.
Are we going to start at Calm, or is it going to be that little gap in between? Because we see them get a ride mostly to Calm. So are you just going to have one little area we walk up to Calm?
Yeah.
Are you going to kind of backtrack
I'm
we
wondering.
get to Calm? Or I'm curious
thinking-
if we're just going to start in the flashback.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think the
And
opening
then-
scene might be like we've arrived at Calm, and we're at the and then
kinda
they're
just
like, all right,
tell
Cloud,
us.
you have to tell us what's going on, and then like goes right into the flashback, and that's the first things you're doing as actually fighting.
And again, this might be answered state of play in the demo.
Yeah, they might.
Because I did see something it said how to carry your file from the demo over.
Which I would guess the demo, if they did it like 16 and you played it,
it would be the beginning. So again, I feel like if you have to carry your file over from the demo, that's got to be you play the beginning. You can't just play a random part in the middle,
right?
And carry that over. So it's got to be the beginning. So it's one or two things: either you getting to Calm, or the flashback,
or they add another small little town right outside of Midgar before Calm, or something.
That's like what I'm thinking. Like
where it's not even like a full town. It's like
what I'm thinking of. In the original, it's like you are literally right outside of Midgar. You can loop around it. You know, you go up the hill to Calm. It's a little bit. Yeah. I'm wondering if they're going to make it like that ride you got, you're almost there, and then it's going to be not open world. It's going to be a little area.
Yeah. It's going to be like open concept, but not necessarily as huge.
Was that the whole demo? Like, isn't that that could only be like, you're not going to make that long. So then maybe the demo is again the... But then the flashback is back in time. That's not your level. And, like, that's not your gear then. So, like, if you do the flashback...
Is that how they're going to... Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm getting at?
I wonder, too, if...
they could maybe have you level, and then that's what you
entering,
start
like,
as.
this different dimension, too, is going to be how they... in-game explain how your, like, gear is reset or something like that.
Yes, because we do know... I know for sure we've read... We're not
Yuffie
starting at level 1.
steals it, loses it right away.
That'd be funny, yeah. You start the game, somebody stole your shit.
Yeah.
Somehow your level and experience...
Something happened in that portal, and somehow you're back to level 1.
That could make sense. Because
you see that we're not at level 1.
We're not at level 1. We're starting like 20. It almost made it sound like around there. So I'm still a little curious, how it's going to feel.
But, I mean, it was
just
max
how it's going
of 50.
Yeah.
In Remake, right?
So I wonder if
they
it's...
almost could even just start you at 50 and just go to like...
Just go to 100?
And then the next one be like 100.
I know our cousin Chad was a little bit like,
but
what's the difference between starting at 50, let's say you're doing 1,000 damage, and then just going back to level like 10 and you're doing 200?
Right.
Yeah, you get it,
You're gonna scale the monsters moving forward. It's a whole different thing.
We're
not going back and playing anything in Remake now from Rebirth, right? So
personally, it does just feel a bit weird leveling up to 50, getting Fire Raga, doing 9,999 to then not, even though in the story it's like.
It's one of those, just the gameplay. But I mean, it's like Kingdom Hearts does that.
Kingdom Hearts
every single time you start over.
There's some weird explanation on why Sora lost his
power. You get a
couple
of new abilities earlier. Like in 2, you start off with some abilities pretty quick that you learn way late.
Like you guard. You don't have guard for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's like,
but it still was like freaking Ragnarok and Sonic Blade,
Arcanum,
like all these amazing moves, and I just forgot them. Yeah, but I guess they did a good job this one. But so that's a real curious one, but probably was explained in the demo here.
Again, how that's all going to take place.
Listening, and laughing at us because you're like, hey, you should have played the demo. That's why we didn't play the demo. I want to wait till that day and then that night and just be able to surprise me on that
and be like, oh, okay, this is how. But I mean, yes, I think I
think we covered quite a lot of it.
Just kind of.
There's any other?
I would say to recap, going into Rebirth, some things we're questioning. What we're looking for answers. Whispers is like the big one.
Yes.
Are they going to be in it? Are they changing stuff? Are they guiding us to sticking to the original timeline?
I mean, the number one question everybody has is Aerith going to die?
Oh god, we didn't even talk about that, did we?
Is Aerith actually going to die?
I know for it's both of us.
Everybody
it has to happen.
I'm leaning more towards it has to happen, but I don't think it will actually, because this has all been about fan service. This whole remake is about just giving us a game to and I think they want us to be able to play Aerith, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like if they were worried about keeping just straight how it was, they would have kept Yuffie and Vincent as
a good point,
things. And
also kind of to tie into how they have somewhat changed things is a good thing in the sense of we don't know now we know the story of Rebirth,
right?
We know the story.
I wouldn't be as excited because I would be like, I know what's gonna happen.
We know what's gonna happen, but now we're kind of we actually don't.
It's a whole new game.
Could pull something.
Yeah, it really feels
and kill off Aerith later.
Yeah. Does Zack come into play and save her?
Kill off somebody else?
Yeah. Or does Tifa die?
Right? Just
Do they
change
do
that.
finally fan service for the Aeriths?
Yeah,
You know,
right. Aerith fans.
The Clariths or whatever they call her. Like, Clariths and kill off.
But-
I think the most fucked up thing they could do.
Oh, you explained this to me, I think. Right?
So in the original, when
real
Cloud
dark
gets,
with it?
yeah, when Cloud gets mind controlled, and he's like about to like stab her with the sword. How fucked up would it be if Cloud is the one who actually
make
kills
it
her,
happen,
and then Cloud actually comes down and kills her instead of Sephiroth? Like that would.
I would change it so much because like that would just fuck him up
so much
hard.
more. He's already so hard. It would be so bad. I think everybody would. Oh my god, it would be devastating.
Heard it here first.
Yeah,
that's what's gonna happen.
I keep joking about it. I'm like, that's what they're gonna do. They're like,
man,
you think we saved Aerith because Sephiroth missed, and then it's like, nope, Cloud just chops
her head off. Like, oh my god,
it just gets straight up boring. He just cuts her in half. I'm like,
holy cow.
No,
so that's probably the biggest thing is if
I have a feeling
that's gonna happen.
My guess is what really is gonna happen is we're gonna see the scene, so they give us the scene. But then it's going to be either Whispers show up and change it for us, actually, and heal her, or it's like just a vision in Cloud's head. It's just Jenova showing another one of those, like Jenova showing him the future things.
Yeah.
And then we actually didn't change it. Like when he's asleep, after he slaps her when he gets controlled, right? And then we lose her.
Yeah.
And he's sleeping and he sees her in the forest. Maybe that is actually that.
That's
he
gonna be
sees
that
that
part.
scene, and we see
so
a
like
quick
we're
version
still
of
gonna
it.
have the scene, but it's not gonna be like canon technically.
Yeah. And then they're like backtracking. And they're like, no, that didn't actually happen. But we
That's
have to
what,
show
now we're
you
gonna
it.
go to the city to prevent
that from happening. And then
I could see
different
that.
happens.
An interesting thing
And
you just said was the Whispers like heal Aerith. Do they intervene? We just saw them do that to Barrett.
That's exactly what I said.
So now if the Whispers are in Rebirth, why would they not heal Aerith? I get, because again, their destiny and she has to die to summon.
So it would actually be the opposite. They would probably kill her, make sure she dies.
They made Cloud do it. Like,
they might.
Oh god,
that's what it is. The Whispers make Cloud do it.
The Whispers make Cloud. Oh god,
Sephiroth stops.
Yeah, for some reason. You stop Sephiroth, and then the world is like, sorry, bro.
I think Unalesca was the one saying that she believes that Zack is gonna save her, and I kind of am leaning towards that as well because it's like,
that would
why else bring him into this?
Is he around?
Yeah,
he has to change something.
Yeah,
because why else are you keeping him around?
Yeah. Unless you're gonna blue ball us the entire game and Zack never interacts with them, and they're gonna wait until the third part when Cloud becomes messed up, and they need Zack then to actually help Cloud get out of his messed up state and help Tifa with that.
When you lose Cloud instead of Sid, you play as Zack.
Or Zack is like with Tifa
in the live stream, figuring out,
helping figure it out, and like that was me, Cloud.
That would for me would probably be the best way they could use Zack.
Yeah, that's where I go. Like
he is probably my biggest. Aerith dying or not dying, and then Zack being involved are like my two like. What if, like, this game could go... Not like you don't like it. You're going to enjoy it.
I think I'm going to enjoy it either way. But they could go way off the rails to a point where I'll be like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, like Aerith's alive and you're running into Zack.
I'm going to pretend this isn't canon in the originals.
Yes,
I hope it's not something so crazy that it's going to be like that. But I think no matter what, it's going to be like that.
That could make sense, yeah. Because, I just have like...
I will be bummed if they take out a lot of the iconic scenes that we're hoping to see. We've been waiting for years for this.
Again,
and
right?
Like those scenes, like... everybody's talking about the date scene, so I wonder if they change it where it is only one that's canon and we don't get the whole change different ones.
Yeah, like you only get Aerith for the date. Yeah, like you can't try to get Tifa, Yuffie, Barrett.
Or it's not even the same scenes. You don't actually ride on the gondola or whatever it's called. The train thing.
Yeah.
Or what other major scenes would there be that would be like disappointing that you don't actually see? Because like we were just talking about, it was disappointing that they didn't have that moment of the blood trail.
Yes,
didn't impact the same
captured
way.
Right. Yeah.
So like obviously the whole Aerith moment would be the number one thing, but like I don't.
It changes
I guess whatever.
oh,
I know which one I was thinking about. Palmer getting hit by the truck. If we don't see Palmer getting hit by the truck.
I think I do remember that. That's how the boss fight ends.
Yes, yeah, he gets hit by the truck and goes flying. If he doesn't get run over by the truck, I will be a little disappointed.
So funny.
It'll look ridiculously goofy, and I'm sure they won't. But like, you could still get hit by a car and be fucking hilarious.
He just goes flying. Other parts, like I just have like
Volkswagen.
Other parts I have like Cosmo Canyon. So there's like a scene with like Red 13 sees his father petrified.
I was listening.
And he's
to
like
it,
howling,
and
right?
I'm like, damn,
that part's gonna hurt.
That part didn't hit me as a kid, but as an adult.
Oh,
and
now
as a father
now, dude. That's gonna hurt.
Oh my god, that part's tough because it is like, I love that part. And yeah, if we don't get to see some sort of scene of that, and that
I know we've seen him like a little bit in trailers, but like Bugenhagen, like his character, like super excited for how he's going to be.
Pretty sure we get to. They've shown bits of that scene.
Yeah,
the planetary scene. So
that's
I'm pretty safe.
That's going to be an iconic moment, right?
If that one they changed it, that would have been devastating. But that's what I'm getting at. Like, hopefully we don't lose too many of those key moments, and they change them up too much. They were so awesome, and that's what we've been waiting for like 20 years now.
Right.
Of like, I want to see it in that scene.
Ever since hinted.
Advent Children, I think. Ever since
I would say that because that was legit graphics.
I think PS3 trailer was like after that.
I would
teaser,
say.
That was when it was like, oh, is the remake happening? Because I want to say it was like teasing us that, hey, PS3's coming out. Look what graphics they can do. But I think Advent Children was before then. I could be mistaken.
I would say so.
Ever since that happened in like 2006, I think it was.
It was like, we've been like, the game was like this.
Yeah, the whole game.
So it is like 20 years we have been waiting for the game to be like this.
Finally.
And we were kind of saying, like, oh yes, we had Remake. That's been a couple of years now, but it's like, that was like a demo.
Yeah, Remake.
We're getting into the heart of Final Fantasy VII now. All of the stuff that
Remake was just like skin,
a taste.
Just a little
tip of the iceberg.
The top layer of your skin. This is, like you said, the heart now. This is the main part of 7. This is the juicy, this is the favorite part. And I think we talked about this with Chad before, where we're like, this section might be my favorite part of gaming ever. Of any game, of any portion.
Final Fantasy
section
is just...
after Midgar till the end of Disc 1, absolute favorite gaming portion of all time. Whether you say 7 is your favorite or not, it was like this portion of gaming is my favorite.
Because they do such a good job of like, you get the backstory of like each character.
Yeah.
Like, if you go and learn about Barrett and his whole past, you go learn about Red 13, his whole past, you eventually make it to like Nibelheim and learn like what's going on here. You don't finish like backstory, but it's just like,
in a way that's Tifa's.
Right. You kind
of learn Tifa's there, and you're right. You kind of get like, because when you get Sid, you already learn his backstory to get Sid. Yeah, it's just in the whole like battling throughout all of that, the leveling, and like you really open up from that point.
Yeah,
so you can start really customizing materia.
Yep, start leveling materia, customizing.
And now
you
can change your characters, interchanging throughout.
Party. Yep,
you're forced to at times, and then other times you can choose your lineup. It's like, that is what I think of as Final Fantasy for me. Is that section right there? It's like,
just it's the template of it.
Which is funny because I think about, and they always talk about Final Fantasy as being open world, right? And being, you can go do whatever. That actually is really linear. You really go from this point to this point to this point to this point to this point. There's not much reason to backtrack. Once you get past Junin, you can't go back to Junin.
I was just going to say,
until you get through to Rocket Town, and then you can finally go around. So like, once you get from Midgar to Rocket Town, it's very much like you go from this point to this point to this point to this point. You can run over there and run over there, but like, there's nothing to do.
It's kind of like 10, where it's like you are just going forward. Oh, you can go back.
It's just
like
bigger. It's wider of a map.
Yeah,
like in 16, and I think it more would be like, we say like 16 is, you do kind of go point, but like the map is just wider. It's not just a straight line,
whole
but like, from here to here and from here to here, there's nothing really to do there, so it's not necessary.
Right, you go,
It's an illusion that it's open world, but it's not open world.
It is, that's, give me the illusion of it.
You can just waste time, which, I think it's probably they're gonna add some side quest stuff. But that's where I laugh when people are like, "Oh, it's so open world," and they're like, "But it's not."
I'm not.
You
just go A to B.
You don't really have too much freedom because once you get to a point in there, then you can't go back. You can't go back to Midgar.
Can't go back to Midgar.
So you
and like
can
you're saying,
only
I
go
don't
forward.
think you can. Yeah, once you get to like Costa del Sol, you can't go back to Junin.
And actually, once you get past Mithril Cave, you can't really get back because then you're going to fight the Midgar Zone because now you don't have the chocobo. So like,
oh yeah,
at each portion you get like a couple places and then you can't go back, and then
but it's
you
like
lose the buggy, so you can't go back.
You
to
can explore Fort Condor before Junin, so it's like a little open world, right? But like again, like
exactly. But
you can only do this part.
You go from here to here, from here to here. Anyhow,
I would say the biggest open world part is like when you have the buggy and like you can go to Cosmic Canyon or Nibelheim and like
in Gongaga, I think then changes stuff
Gongaga
around there. But anyhow, I think
that's pretty much
pretty much sums it up.
Everything about what
we're waiting, we're hoping to see,
looking forward to in Rebirth. I mean,
cannot wait.
So excited for it. Again, there are so many parts, and like watching trailers, like we're kind of talking about like the date scene in Gold Saucer. That in the original to me was just like, let's just get through this.
Yes.
This part's not that great.
Yeah.
Now, like watching the trailer, I'm like, oh my god, I'm excited for this part now.
Because
like you just get to see like Cloud fall in love with Aerith now.
Yeah.
Like that date
part
scene.
Of this might be
that's
that we're
where
older.
Do we get it a bit more?
Yeah, because like
just seeing
we were so young when we first played these.
Seeing them life size, and like this stuff happens. It's like, oh, I know, like this is where Cloud probably falls in love with Aerith because they go on like the little dates.
It's just the coolest thing that we get to see
it happen. So then if they do kill off Aerith, oh my god, it's gonna hurt even more.
Yeah.
But so like I'm excited for so many iconic parts. Like we were just talking about Cosmo Canyon, backstory with all the characters, and then it's like I'm even excited for Golden Saucer, which is like my least favorite part in that section.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be excited for every second of this game, and unless they go crazy with Zack and like Aerith,
there's no way it's not gonna like it.
Yeah.
Like this is the game that got me. Like I had played games before, right? And I played a lot of games. This is what like changed what games I played.
Yeah.
And
it cemented it.
Really just like I went from I play games every once in a while. We go to family night and we'll play games with Chad. This was like I need a gaming system and I need this game and I will play this for 12 hours a day every day if I could.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to go to school. I just want to play this.
No, yeah.
Like that was,
and that's a good point of this. Like this chunk of the story, it is like you have to keep going to the next place.
Yes.
Like you go to this part and you're like, oh no, like Sephiroth's right there. Like we gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Oh no, like this happened. Like I gotta do Cosmo Canyon. Oh, Nibelheim's right there. I gotta go. Like you never want to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Especially it's gonna be like they said like there's gonna be like, it's like 100 hours, right? Like Rebirth. So it's like, oh god, we're about to have no life. For
I wonder though the 100 hours is that like they're gonna do with Remake where you play through and then you play through in hard mode, and so it's like 100 hours to get platinum because it took me 100 hours to platinum it just this last time.
I'm wondering that too.
So
that's another thing
what they
too.
mean? Like 40 hours through once, but then you go through it again, so it's another like 30 maybe because you're a little bit faster, but then you have another 30 hours to get the.
I don't know if we
trophies.
Like talk about it. I'm curious. Yeah, as if because it obviously is going to be a lot.
Where's it going to end?
Where's it going to end? And then when we do end, is there a new game plus, hard mode? Is there like a chapter selection? I feel like you can do that, like how Remake was, but I feel like it might be a bit more difficult with a little bit more open world map, and you can go to because they kind of have hinted you can do things in a different order. So like I feel like you could be like this chapter is Cosmic Canyon, this chapter is Gold Saucer, but if you can do that in a different order, like in chapter 4,
unless the chapters are just way bigger.
Yeah,
and like you can only do it. You could skip it in that chapter. Oh, yeah, how would you do that?
So
that's going to be interesting.
So I'm a little curious to see if there will be a new game plus chapter selection, chapters even.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be some
Rebirth.
way of it. I can't imagine they would change that too much.
But either way, I mean, there's a lot, and so excited to keep going and playing.
I can't wait. Yeah, we're so excited for Rebirth, so we could not. We had to make another episode of it. And so let us know. Yeah, and comments or pop into my stream, Super Sanctus, Twitch. I'm there. Frankie's almost always there.
Yep.
Chat it up with us.
Yep, come in and chat. Talk anything Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I don't care. Give me the shipping wars. I don't care. Well, Aerith, Tifa, whatever you want.
Right.
I'm on both sides, man.
Or just what's maybe, you know.
I don't care, Barrett, whatever.
Yeah, right. It's 2025, free love. But
she wants to love Red. She can love Red.
Yeah, just let us know any comments. You know, maybe some things that were explained in the demo.
Your thoughts.
State of play. What you think might happen in Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
Just come in and chat. We just love to chat.
Pop in when it comes out. Pop in. I'm definitely going to be playing it, streaming it most nights. Usually about 10 o'clock I hop on. Most nights I'm on, I would say. It's
same
usually
thing. Most nights I'm in there.
Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays are the days I really try to keep to that schedule, but in between I probably will. But yeah, check out our channel. Frankie's been adding gameplay footage.
And it's on the YouTube channel. Find us there. Might kind of do what I've been doing, just kind of streaming more of like a walkthrough, a playthrough. So you don't kind of have my personality. You can kind of just watch the gameplay. Yeah. So I might post those videos if you want to check those out.
Instead,
check out our Twitter as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Twitter. I'm on there, tweeting some things every once in a while. Throwing some screenshots out there, asking some questions, what you think. So I'll definitely be a lot more too when Rebirth comes out. Of
a little bit more.
Yeah,
stuff.
Screenshots of the game. I'm sure they have a lot of fun with that, and then
some
posing questions. Yeah, polls.
Aerith gonna die or not, or something. Yeah.
So check this out there. It's a Super Frank Pod on that one. But yeah, I think that's it. I'll try and post links too in the description here of YouTube channel for all those things. But again, moving forward here, not entirely sure if we're going to jump right back into 16 after this, or if we'll end up playing Rebirth timing wise, and then doing another maybe quick thing of Rebirth, and then jumping back into 16.
Right? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, let us know if anybody has any comments on if you want us more 16 episodes, another
so got a while
preview of Rebirth, or might just hold off, play Rebirth for a little bit, do a little video on a little bit of that.
But so the Super Frank tank, Aerith must die.
Aerith must die. That's
Aerith must die to be Super Frank. It has to happen.
Sorry, Aerith. R.I.P.
I'm sorry, Zach.
Yeah,
but she must die. And anyways, this Super Sanctus again.
Frankie here. Thanks for hanging out with us and sticking around.
Yeah, catch you next time.
Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
I know. This is a one-time gig.